All right, we're doing it.
All right, guys. Welcome back to the show here at Fish North Georgia, our Tuesday night edition. Post Easter. I hope everybody had a great weekend with some good weather for the most part, some of it. I hope all you guys were able to spend some time with your family and or either get outside, get in the outdoors, and do what you love to do. So, again, we didn't have a show last Thursday night, and I can tell every time we miss a show, you almost can feel it. It feels like something's missing. So I'm glad to get back tonight. And we've got a good episode for you guys tonight. It's a little bit different. We're going to get out of our norm. I've got some interesting dudes here. A couple of them have been back or are coming back, and we got a newbie here tonight. So we're going to talk crappie fishing. And it's the time of year right now. All right? I've always heard my entire life when the dogwoods bloom, the crappie are biting. So I know you guys can catch them all year. Are we missing your thing right there? I want to make sure we get that in there. Yeah, ATX there. So real quick, everybody, good evening. If you are watching on one of the Facebook pages, we ask that you go to StreamYard.com and hit /Facebook and put your name in there so that when you have a comment or a question, we get your name up there and that we can properly address you. Yeah, so StreamYard.com /Facebook. So hello, John Aldred, man of the 50-pound catfish caught on a chatterbait. I don't know. Do you crappie guys know what a chatterbait is?
Yes.
Do you really know what one is? Okay, I'm just curious. So how are you tonight? And again, look forward to this. We definitely want you guys to participate. If you got questions, ask these guys stuff like that. A lot of smart people in this room tonight, and I'm not one of them. But and we're gonna go ahead. Let me say something to State Farm first, and then we'll go ahead and we'll deal with that. Again, this episode is brought to you by State Farm. Guys, State Farm has all the products you need to insure anything from your house and your autos. But again, we always like to tell all the anglers that one of the things most often overlooked is your equipment. And that goes from your sonars down to your rods. Now, a lot of these things, they have warranties, like rods. They have a great warranty if you break them. But if you lose them or if they're stolen, well, that's just you are, I guess you could say, out. So, but anyway, Chase Epley at Cassidy State Farm, they've got this personal articles policy. And it's something for $75 a year up to $7,000 in value. You can get it covered. No questions asked, free replacement of the retail value. So, again, we'd like you to give Chase a call at 678-779-7269, or you can email him, chase@CassidySF.com. And, again, we not only are very appreciative of them being a sponsor on our show, but also with the Electric Elites. We appreciate State Farm for stepping up and being that good neighbor that they say that they are. So again, give Chase a call, 678-779-7269. Calls are free, and just ask him how he can help you insure all your articles, your personal articles, like your rods, sonar, stuff like that. So now we'll go ahead and there's two questions we're gonna go ahead and address. We do this every time these crappie guys come. What's up, Mason? All you guys. So we're going to do this. First of all, I found out the first time that Kyle came on. Did we ever get the original? We never got the original podcast out, did we? Did you and I ever do? Not the original. We recorded an original. We spent 15 minutes on this. So apparently, only in Georgia is it called crappie.
Yeah, you see that comment right there, right?
I did because listen,
right.
that's because he's a Yankee too. That's Scott Edwards. I know him. He's a Yankee too. Alabama might as well be a Yankee. In Alabama, everywhere they call it crappie. And I'm gonna make sure I remember this so that I can be taught. In Louisiana, the Cajuns call it sac-a-lait.
Yep.
And in Florida, the Yankees that moved down to Florida call it white perch.
Nope, Specks. Florida Specks. Yeah, Florida Specks. South Alabama is white perch. Central to north is crappie. Texas is crappie. Oklahoma's crappie. Louisiana, sac-a-lait.
Keep going, yeah, because I mean, I'm gonna make fun of all of them.
Most of it's crappie. Georgia, it's crappie. Georgia only.
Missouri is not a Yankee state. Well, it is if you say crappie. All right, Scott. So there you go. So anyway, I thought the guy across the table was Blake. No, he's not Blake. Blake is at home tonight. But yeah, Mason, I will definitely do that. Blake, I turned the air conditioning on. I got cold. So Anyway, all right. Now listen, we're going to talk a lot of good stuff tonight. All right, but I've got something that I need my friends here at Fish North Georgia and the fine people here that I'm getting ready to introduce. I've got a life-altering question that I need answered, okay? So I'm going to introduce everybody, and then we're going to get this question. This is some serious shit. I mean, we got some stuff. So right here, Captain Josh Thornton, a.k.a. Chipper. How you doing tonight?
Doing great.
The last time he was on, somebody commented he looked like an older Chipper Jones and all that. So he is our Chipper Jones. So thank you for being here. Across from me is, I want to say Chumley. You know I want to say Chumley. Chumley's here from Pawn Stars, but actually it's Kyle Reeves with ATX. Is it lure? Just ATX Lure? Is that the
ATX
best?
Lure Company.
Company. You want that company put on there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Maker of fine performance crappie jigs and equipment, stuff like that. How you want to say that?
Yeah, crappie jigs.
Crappie jigs. All right, listen, that's points off
soft
for crappie.
plastics.
Soft plastics. All right, and his friend, and probably the only person other than Paul here who is on my good side tonight, Chris Corrales.
Yes,
I said it right?
Yep,
who is a tournament crappie. I'm gonna say it right for you guys one time. Tournament,
it flows.
But it doesn't feel good.
Just flows.
It's like wearing a G-string.
Well,
It's just something just kind of feeling tight on that. You know, it's just not right. You ever wear a G-string?
No. Nope. Sure haven't. I can honestly say that.
Listen, listen. I'm not gonna. In my younger days, I might have thrown one on just for the hell of it, just to see what was going on. Josh, you ever wore one?
No, I have not.
Okay, how about you?
Nope.
Listen, y'all gotta be secure in your manhood.
But I'm open to it.
You're open to it. Well, listen, okay, that's not it. But anyway, he's a tournament angler, but he does do some bass fishing, which we had some jigs on the table, and apparently these two guys did not like the fact that there was a bass jig on the table, but Chris there, he accepted it as sitting in front of him, and we sure do appreciate him for that. Now, guys, let's get this question out of the way because my wife actually wanted me to ask this question on the show. All right. So I need your help in settling this argument. And then we're going to get talking about crappie, sac-a-lait, specs, whatever you want to call them. All right. Now, my wife wanted me to cook breakfast for her the other day, and I wasn't doing it. It was Easter. I said, that's my day off. I'm not doing it. So she goes, go get me a Pop-tart. Do you eat Pop-tarts in your house?
Yes.
You eat Pop-tarts. Have you ever had a Pop-tart?
Yep.
Okay. You eat Pop-tarts?
All the time. You got to nuke them for a few minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. So anyway, so all you guys are familiar with Pop-tarts. She goes, I need you to go fix me a Pop-tart. I said, okay, I'm going to be nice. It's Easter. I'm going to be nice. So I go in there. I walk into the pantry. I open up the pack. I pull out the thing. I go to the toaster, and I stick a Pop-tart in there. One. The pack comes with two. Now, I go back to the bedroom, and I hand her that, and she goes like, what the hell is this? I said, it's a Pop-tart. She goes, no, a Pop-tart is two. And I said, no, a Pop-tart is singular. Those are Pop-tarts. We argued for 5 minutes. I need an official answer. Is a Pop-tart the single piece of pastry, or is a Pop-tart both pieces that come in the silver foil thing? Josh, you got the helm.
It's both of them. What'd you do with the other one?
I had to go back in there and cook it. But listen,
You being cheap? You trying to hold?
No. She said Pop-tart. There's two.
There's two in a pack. Give her both of them.
That's Pop-tarts.
Well, she didn't say 2 packs.
No, she said I need a Pop-tart.
So open a pack and take her both of them.
No.
After you heat it up.
You're just killing me. You're killing me. All right, so look. Mason Waters, 1. Justin Speece, 2. Missouri, 1. What about you, Chris?
It's a dangerous question.
It is a question.
That's going to get people in trouble.
It is, but let's go ahead.
I would say it's a pack. I would say if I'm going to get a Pop-tart, it's a pack.
And you're from New Mexico, right?
New Mexico.
Okay,
Colorado.
so that's what you did. Okay. That explains a lot on your answer. What about you?
I'm gonna say 2 as well because
You guys suck.
So here's the question: when you eat, so you eat Pop-tarts, right?
No, I don't eat them things.
Well, that may be the thing. So who that does eat Pop-tarts only eats one?
Then you would eat Pop-tarts because you keep saying S. Who eats Pop-tarts?
Well,
Every time you guys you say Pop-tarts.
yes, but
Listen,
who just eats one when they open
each one?
They open the silver foil? Who eats just one?
But if you eat one, what are you eating?
What do you do with the other one?
You're eating a
if you're
pack.
only eating
You're
one
eating
at a time, what are
Pop-tart.
you doing with them?
Listen, you guys are killing me because I thought I'd get more support from you guys, but apparently Mason's got my back. Listen, Fishing with Farmer 1. I'm telling you guys, it's a
See,
Pop-tart.
Daniel's one pack. See, that's it. That's
And I like
one
Daniel,
each,
so
right?
listen,
It's
I
one
like
pack.
Daniel more than I like you guys. So I'm going to let Daniel get away with saying that. So anyway, guys, as we go through the night, I want you to put some serious thought into this. I mean, seriously, if somebody asks you for a Pop-tart and they tell you to go heat them a Pop-tart, let me ask you, how about a waffle? If I say I want a waffle, even though the toaster has 2 slots, do you get 1 waffle or 2?
No, you make them in the waffle iron. You don't. make 'em in a
No,
toaster.
you're
They suck.
highbrow. What about you? Is it a waffle or waffles?
I don't think I would ever make one. I don't think I could ever make one.
Oh, you guys, I'm not even going to ask Chumley there. I've had enough of this. Y'all have let me down. I thought for sure I'd get some support on this. But the simple fact that you grown men still eat Pop-tarts scares me. I mean, you really eat Pop-tarts.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That or a
All
honey
right,
bun.
so-
That's see. He says every time we go on tournaments that we should be sponsored by Honey Bun because we get them every morning.
Eat
We have
honey
to eat 'em
bun?
on
Okay,
both.
listen,
See,
honey
that's-
buns are good. Honey buns are good.
yeah.
Can
But
I,
see,
can I have
as
the
buns,
screen back there?
That's with an S, but there's only one.
All right, well, I still think you're wrong. All right, anyway, so all right, guys. So that's my question. You guys think about that. Think about that. So the fact that you guys eat Pop-tart scares me, but my official thing, let's see. Oh, I had a good answer there. Where we go? Paul's trying to do a little work behind the scenes, and so I've lost the screen for just a second, but it'll come right back up. There you go. So Stacy Justice. So I'm going to assume Stacy is a female, and if I'm wrong, let me know, or if you're a guy, whatever. I'm just saying. My kids assume it's both of them. If split that pack, they wonder where the other one is. Okay, that's fine. Just fix both. Makes you actually look like you care.
Well, there you go. That was
So I'd have got bonus points if I'd have picked
Yeah,
both
because
Pop-tarts.
now you don't care.
Listen, I'm not lying. My wife looked at me. She said, I promise you. What the hell is this?
So see, she didn't think you cared. So that's
But I didn't care. It was a Pop-tart.
Well,
I thought I was
yeah.
doing good. The fact that I did it is enough. All right, guys. So we're going to get talking on the fishing. I just that's been bothering me all day. And I was waiting to hear from the smartest people that I know. And that's the people that watch the Fish North Georgia show. So a couple of things. I want to say congratulations. I want to give a shout out to a couple of friends of the show. And that is Andrew Murphy, the Murphinator. He helps run the ABA 35, and they had a tournament this past Saturday on Notley. And I don't know, they always say something about the blind hog finds an acorn, but he actually finished second with 18.50. And since he's a friend of the show, I definitely want to say congratulations. And I want to kick him in the stomach again because he lost. Oh, I'm definitely not a woman. Hey, Stacy, listen, I'm sorry. The picture from here looked like a woman. I see it now. So my bad, buddy. My bad. I don't know. It's been a long day. But I get it. I should
on a roll today.
listen. It's been one of them days, man. I just love life, Stacy. I'm sorry. And I tell you what, for that, if you will send me your address, if you hit me on Fish North Georgia and message me, and I used to like this show. I tell you what, listen, if you will send me your address, I'll send you a couple of True Grit jigs to say that I am sorry. So anyway, I apologize, but that's pretty funny. So one more time, Pop-tarts are the breakfast of champions. It's 2 per serving. And do you open a bag of potato chips and eat just one? Well, you can, though. It is possible. But anyway, so we want to get back to congratulating Andrew Murphy because he ain't going to finish second ever again. And so we just want to say congratulations, but I'm going to kick him in the stomach. He had 18.50 and he lost 18.51, took first place. So I'd rather lose by 100 pounds than to get beat by 1/10 of an ounce. So, but anyway, Andrew, we love you. And again, our True Grit buddy, Jonathan Farmer, who everybody knows from the show, he finished third on Notley. He's always Mr. Consistent on Notley. And as always, we always expect a good finish from him. So congratulations to you two guys again. You guys, I want to make sure that you, as you see the banners going across the bottom of the screen, you pay some attention. As you know, during the show, there's a lot of good information in the bottom of that. We got some tournaments coming up. Fishing for Warriors, guys, donations. Again, we're getting ready to get back on the Fishing for Warriors and the Georgia Mountain Food Bank. Getting ready to start. I wanted to kind of give everybody a little bit of break, get past Easter, get past the the holiday, and now we're going to kick back on getting them going again. So, guys, please keep that in your minds when you're thinking about stuff to do today or in the future. So, Crappie, you guys ready?
Let's go.
You look real tense. You ready? You relaxed?
Good to go.
You good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Right now, you're fishing for crappie, mostly on Lake Lanier.
Lake Lanier only.
Lake Lanier only.
Unless I'm going on a tournament.
Okay. All right. How about you?
I think we have fished Lake Lanier once in the last 3 months.
Okay. So you're everywhere. Wherever.
Yeah.
So you mostly just a tournament, or do you fish for fun in your spare time?
If it's fun, it's like I said, bass or striper or something with the
Did you hear that answer? If it's fun, it's bass and stuff like that. That's a good answer. So
well, we've
I understand.
been tournaments so much that if we have a weekend, the fiance wants to be out, so we're out there fishing.
So your fiance goes fishing with you?
Yes.
Good for you, dude. That's awesome. All right, Kyle. Where you spending most of your time these days?
Everywhere. So let's see. In the past 4 months,
Right.
I've fished Weiss, West Point, Oconee, Sinclair. Let's see where else.
Brushy.
Brushy Branch. So we have been on Brushy Branch over there. Pretty
you-
much all around Georgia, Alabama. This weekend we're going to Talcon for a tournament in Florida.
Okay.
Weekend after that, it's on Lay Lake, which is on the Coosa chain in
Okay.
Alabama.
All right.
So we're pretty much everywhere. We have Hartwell. Forgot about Hartwell. We fish there too. Pretty much have a few different tournament trails that we've been fishing in the past.
So you're
4 months
boogieing
or
it
so.
everywhere. So you're all over the place right now.
Yeah.
Now, the big thing with bass anglers right now is the spawn. Everybody's talking about bass getting ready to go in bed, bass are getting ready to go in bed, all that stuff like that. What about crappie? Where are we at in relation to the spawn for crappie?
So right now, on Lanier, I would say, with this weather, it's kind of back and forth, right? I know a lot of people love fishing crappie this time of year.
Mhm.
I actually do not like it. This is my worst time of year to fish.
And why
for
is
crappie
that?
for me. Because they'll be up shallow one day, the next day they'll be off somewhere else. Most of the time, any other time of the year, summertime they'll be on structure, pretty much guaranteed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Wintertime they're going to be creek, river channels, that kind of thing, suspended. This time of year they'll be up on banks, they'll be on laydowns, they'll be still suspended, they'll be 10 foot out, they'll be 5 foot, they'll be 2 foot of water.
So
everywhere.
they're crazy right now.
Yeah, so they're just scattered everywhere.
Just scattered. That's a good way to say
and
it.
they all don't spawn at the same time. So you'll have.
So do they go in waves
Yeah,
like
they kind
like
of
in
go in
bass?
waves. So a lot of times, sometimes when people can tell, if the spawn's close or if they're here, obviously with the males they turn darker in the spawn time.
Do they really?
Yeah,
Okay,
they
that's something I did not know.
Especially around here, since it's mostly black crappie, they turn.
That's what I was going to say. Is that a black crappie thing? Do white crappie
white
get dark?
crappie do it too.
Okay.
So white crappie will turn black as
Crappie.
well.
Killing me, crappie.
So
All right.
the white ones will turn black as well, the males.
Okay.
And a lot of times what you'll hear a lot of people say is a lot of times shallower you'll catch the males, and if you'll come out a few feet further deeper is where the females mostly go unless they're laying the eggs and they move up.
Okay.
And they go back and forth.
Okay.
So
Makes sense. Now on Lanier, since you're spending a lot of time on Lanier, have you seen any of the spawning activity for them right now?
Yeah, today we caught over 50 fish, and I'd say 5 of the fish we caught were still swelled up, like they still had the eggs. I'm sure more of them did, but they looked like they were ready to pop. A couple of them.
Right. Okay. So there was a question up there. Keep on going up just a little bit. There's a couple that basically was asking, yeah, right there. What is each one of y'all's favorite lake to fish for crappie? And I'm going to let you start, Chris.
I've liked Oconee. It's a lot of structure.
Oconee?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
There's
the
a lot
first time I've ever heard a positive thing about Oconee.
A
So
lot.
Oconee's good for crappie.
There's a lot of standing timber and a lot of
Okay.
fish. I mean, they'll sit on that, and it's
Black
easy to-
crappie down there, I
Yeah.
assume. Okay.
a little bit of both, isn't it?
I have to go with Lanier because that's where I'm at every day.
Right. And that's where you're guiding and you do
Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay. And yeah.
Now I enjoy going on the tournament trail and going to different lakes and checking out and seeing new stuff. But I'm on Lanier every day, so that's got to be my favorite.
All right, so we got, let's see, Patricia Payton. Why did I say Patton? Payton, I'm sorry. We love catching crappie. A few weeks ago, I caught a 2.53, and the next day caught a 2.49. That's a good one.
Pretty good. That is.
That's a
Probably
good one.
not linear. If
That-
I had to, if I had to-
No. It was not on Lanier. We saw the pictures. That's right. I saw the picture. So definitely not on Lanier. What about you? Favorite lake? And I guess you can go out of state too, because I know
Yeah,
you're
so,
well traveled.
Um,
And y'all could if you want to change your answer. But I mean,
so I've
you still staying with Oconee? If you had in Georgia, Oconee.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stay in Georgia first.
so in Georgia, I would say Oconee, which I won.
That's
I won.
so
Well, I won,
interesting
so I
to
won
me.
a tournament
Okay.
there in October. So, but it has standing timber, it has brush piles, it has docks. I mean, it has everything.
Same thing
It
that
has
you're bass
everything.
fishing for, pretty much. I mean, you're looking for structure. I mean,
Yeah.
the-
Well, it depends on time of year, right? So if I went there in the dead of winter when it's extremely cold and the water temperatures in the 40s, low 40s,
right.
the crappie, they may be on that standing timber deep, but they're not going to be on a lot of brush piles. You'll find them on brush piles, but the bigger fish that you're going to be looking for is going to be suspended river creek channels for the most part. And if they're standing timber in those creek channels, that's a plus. And they may not be right on the timber; they're going to be suspended, swimming, all through there. And again, that's what LiveScope has helped.
We're gonna get
with crappie
on,
fishing is you don't have to always just fish structure now.
We're
right?
definitely gonna get on. We're gonna get on that. Just you in the comments right there. I see Ryan Sheffield right there. Just guys, want to give you a programming note. Thursday night, Ryan will be back on with a couple of guests, and we're going to be doing an exclusive top water only bass angling show. So it'll be everything top water. We're not going to delve into anything. We're going to try to get a little more technique specific. So if you guys are interested, Ryan is really good on top water on Lanier. And that's a big top water lake, but it's stuff that you can use all over the place. And while we're at it, here in about 25 to 30 minutes, I'm going to be bringing on Daniel Paris, who won the March 27th Peach State Kayak Angling tournament on Lake Eufaula. We're going to pipe him in, and we're going to do a quick little. I'm going to give these guys a break because I know they'll be stressing out their brains by about that time. So I'm going to give them a little break, and we're going to pipe him in, and we're going to talk about his win and some of the techniques that he used on Eufaula for a little bit, and then we will finish up again with the crappie episode. So Oconee, Lanier, Oconee, anywhere in the world.
I would have to say back home. We had some smaller lakes back home, and we'd catch
And
walleye.
back home is where?
New Mexico.
New Mexico,
So
okay.
a couple lakes back there. There's smaller lakes. There's nothing like Lanier or anything like here. So
What about the size of the fish, though? The fish is good.
and that's what we would be fishing for walleye or some smallmouth or something like that, and we'd be pulling bigger crappie out.
Smallmouth and walleye in New Mexico.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Now, I would not have ever guessed that.
No, and not a lot of people do. And so, yeah, we'd be fishing for that, and we'd
Okay.
be pulling out some pretty big crappie
we
and
might
stuff
have
like
to have
that.
him back on a future episode to talk about stuff like that. How about you? Anywhere that
So,
you've traveled, what's your favorite
I've
lake?
got a trip planned to Eufaula coming up. I'm looking forward to that. So,
Okay. Eufaula's got good crappie?
I hope so.
You hope so. So that's just what you're looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to going to that one.
All right, there, man of many travels. You've been in Texas, you've been in Alabama, you've been all over the place. So
is this
Where's your
is this
favorite?
lakes that I've fished before, or where I would want to go, where I would catch?
however you want to answer. If
So-
any lake you want.
Well, I do, but so if I had a choice, and hopefully soon I will make it over there, is going to be Grenada Lake in Mississippi.
Okay.
What
What makes that lake so special?
So they just got huge crappie. So the Crappie Masters tournament over there a couple months ago,
Okay.
it's a 2-day tournament. So first day they called over the tournament anglers. There was probably 100 teams in it. There was well over 33-pound crappie weighed in on the first day of the tournament.
33-pound crappie.
3 pound, yep.
Okay, that's still a goal for us here at Fish North Georgia to go over to Latham and try to catch a 3-pound crappie. I've got to try to do that in the next couple of weeks.
So that
Okay.
lake, and it's heavily pressured because that's where everybody wants to go fish. But
It's
it's
well
still,
known.
Yes, well known. It's still producing.
What makes
The bigger
what
fish.
makes the crappie so big in that lake? What's so special about the lake?
I'm not sure. It's a combination of the length limit that you have to keep at least 12-inch crappie. You can't keep anything smaller than 12 inches.
That's good. Okay, I got that.
So that
And that makes sense, especially if you're going to eat them. I mean, crappie are good. Don't get me wrong; they make a hell of a taco. But a 9-inch crappie's only got so much meat on it. So I like that rule. I think that should be a good rule.
I mean
everywhere.
that, and it's the environment.
Okay.
It's the food source population. I mean, there's a bunch of things.
And that's
that
where
I'm not-
you want to fish.
Yes, I haven't been there yet.
Okay.
That's where I
where
want to
have
go.
you fished that you think's the best?
So for me, catching the biggest crappie that I have close to here that's not, a 10-hour drive or further than that is Lake Jordan in Alabama. It's there's a bunch of big crappie there. I do really enjoy
white crappie.
Very
or
few,
mixed?
mostly black.
Mostly black. Okay.
I do like fishing Lake Weiss, and it's closer. Again, it's kind of like Oconee. It has multiple ways to fish. You got docks, you got timber, brush piles, everything.
Okay,
And it fishes a shallow lake too, so you can catch. A lot of people even in the summertime are catching fish in docks in like 4 foot of water on Weiss.
Okay, I got you. What's your biggest crappie ever? Tournament, personal, farm pond, it doesn't matter.
2 1/4.
2 pounds.
2 pounds. Okay.
A little over 2.5.
Okay. So that, to me, basically, if we can equate a 2.5 pound crappie to a largemouth bass, you being a bass angler first, how would you, like if you were saying a 2.5 pound crappie is equal to a 7.5 pound bass or what, how would you equate it?
Probably about that. Probably about a 7.5, 8 pound. I mean,
Okay.
you're fishing 4 pound, 5 pound test. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that same thing of fishing like a worm or something on a 6 pound test and pulling a 7 pound
Okay.
bass or something.
Okay.
You're sitting there fighting it and finessing it more than
So it's a big deal, though.
Yeah.
2.5 pound crappie is a big deal.
yeah.
All right. And you, what's the biggest bass you ever caught? Because you fish multiple species, though, don't you? Are you in the past?
In the past, yes. But
Okay. I want you to
8
compare.
pound,
Okay, so you think about 8 pounds. So I want you to compare. What's the biggest bass you ever caught?
an 8 pound.
8
bass,
pounds. So and the biggest crappie you said was basically 2.5.
2 pounds.
2 pounds.
Yeah.
So equate them as far as the excitement in your mind as to what each one was like.
Well, the whole time I was pulling up the 2 pound crappie, I thought I had a stinking bass on there.
Makes sense. Okay,
It
that
was
makes
fighting
sense.
like a bass. It's a good fight. We use super light tackle, so the rods bend over, going every which way, and
Right.
it's a lot of fun when you get something that like that.
And that's one of the things, and I'll let you can answer that same question they're asking, but that's another thing too. You can't just house a crappie in. I mean, you can, but there's a good chance it's just its mouth is it's light. You got to play with that joker to get in. So same question to you. Equate your biggest crappie to your biggest any other type fish. I mean, or bass. What would you think? Because I mean, you don't bass fish much, do you?
No, I don't.
I mean, how do you even know how to bass fish? Like if I stuck you on a boat and said, "Go catch me a limit of bass," would you know what you were doing if you didn't use minnows?
Didn't use minnows. I don't hardly use minnows anyway.
I'm just asking. I'm just saying.
So possibly, maybe. I used to bass fish, not a lot,
Right.
but it was
yeah.
mainly in ponds, things like that. Not
Right.
a big wide open lake. Like on Lanier, with spotted bass, going to fish deep brush piles. It's essentially the same thing. Crappie fishing, some of that stuff too, right? So
Yeah.
drop shot, that kind of thing. So
And we're gonna get into those.
I probably still
techniques on it.
couldn't, but
Right.
I don't know. I think I probably haven't caught a bass over 7 pounds, 6 pounds, probably.
Okay, well, that's still a lot of people
But,
haven't caught one that big, so that's not bad. There was a comment by Pork Taco up there, and I've heard this said by the Fluke Master, and he's pretty big in the kayaking world and the bass angling world. And and you can pull that up right there. And I'm gonna tell you what Gene Jensen said. He said that when he is going to catch crappie to eat, he only keeps them in the dead of winter. He never keeps crappie in the summertime. Now his reasoning, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, I'm just telling you what he told us. His reasoning is that crappie get parasites and worms in the heat of summer, and the flesh is not as good to eat. Yes or no? We'll start with you, Josh, on that.
I've never seen that. I've seen them with algae or fungus growing on the outside, but I've never filleted one and found a worm or parasite in it.
And so you say the meat on a crappie is just as good in July as it is in December,
To me,
in your experience.
yes.
Okay. Do you eat them a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you?
Yeah, same. I've never seen any difference between winter to summer.
How about you, big guy?
I've cleaned crappie and I've seen worms and stuff in them. It wasn't the dead of summer when I saw them.
Okay.
I can't tell any difference. I keep
You eat
crappie
them
in
a lot. Yeah,
summertime.
you keep them.
I
Yeah.
keep crappie in the summertime. I keep them in the wintertime. I keep them in spring, fall. I've seen a few, in the fall. that even in colder temperatures has had worms or maybe some parasites in it, but
And
it's
you
not
think
a
that's-
lot.
Do you think that's common with all fish? I mean, not just
I think
crappie.
it is. I mean, I honestly think it is, but most people don't clean a lot of the other fish, right? So
Right. It just was something that he said. No, outdoors. What's up? Tyler J. Sharp. They taste better in the winter, in my opinion. The fillets seem more firmer in the winter, and that was something that Gene said as well. It had to do with the consistency of the fish as well, not just the parasites and stuff. But he said that for some reason he thought the meat was just, maybe that's like a placebo. You just, I'm not saying this in your mind, but I'm just, Jeremiah, I've seen him with worms year round, and I really just, good. I need to make some tacos with them. Yeah, say, listen, absolutely. It's always interesting to me when we talk the best tasting fish, and you ask anybody, what's the best tasting fish? It's either walleye or it's crappie, whatever. I'm just going, for this show, for this purpose, I'm going to call them specs.
Just call it a
that
crappie
works.
like it's supposed to be.
That
I'm just
works.
call it specs. I'm trying to show some respect to our foreign guests and all that right there, since they weren't graced to be born in the great state of Georgia. We're going to call them specs. So just for tonight. And then we'll make fun of you tomorrow. So I still can't get past it. They're catching walleye and all that in New Mexico. So I'm sitting here in my mind. Hey, listen, hey, can we all agree crappie and walleye are divine? And that's, if I'm gonna make a taco, it's one of them two fish that I'm going for. Now, don't get me wrong, I will. I know people out there about to die, but I will eat bass too. I don't have a problem eating a bass or fish. I love it. So, but I don't eat a lot of them. So my wife's idea of seafood is Captain D's if we want fish, and I think that's a lot of people. And you're like, yeah, that's a little different. But Bradley Ayers, shout out Kyle Reeves, the Crappie King. Glad you're doing well, buddy. Well, I don't know who you are, Bradley, but there you go. You got a lot of respect for my boy right here. I'm gonna make sure Bradley is a man. I don't want to do that again and then upset another one. So here, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. This is a very true, and I'm honest to God. When my parents were coming up with my name, my dad, I'm a junior, so my dad wanted me to be named Danny, Lanier Pruitt Jr. My mom actually wanted me to be named Stacy. True story, not making that up. So my bad out there.
Have to send him two more.
I'm on. If he'll send me, listen. If he sends me something, I definitely will. Colin Steele, yellow grubs parasite is common in fish, bass, or crappie. They are harmless once cooked. Let's see, he moved it up there. More commonly saw on fins and skin, but if in meat, just cook and eat.
Yep, that's what most of the guys do.
Hey, and let's be honest though. While that's probably 100% true, a lot of people see something swirling around in that meat a little bit, and they're going like, I don't know what that fish was doing.
You just pull it out.
That's what they do where you're from. All right. So here, listen, we go to Captain D's. That's why people eat at Captain D's, is because of that stuff. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But that's okay. So he said yellow grubs parasite. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I wonder if crappie ever suffer from anything similar to like the stripers and all that Lanier. And you fish Lanier all the time. Do they get the gills, the gill mites and stuff like that?
I don't see them.
Okay, so they're and why is that? Why are stripers and stuff like that getting them, but not fish on the lower end? Any idea?
I don't know. I've took pictures and sent them to the biologist when I see strange stuff, and they'll usually tell me it's just because of water temperature change or something like that. But they never give me any real good answers. But
okay, which means they don't know.
Probably, you're right.
Probably,
or they don't want us to know,
or they don't want you.
They came from too close to the sewer pipeline,
and there's a possibility. There's a possibility. Now, what I'm trying to do is I want to get to the second half of the show, so when we're going to talk about the equipment and the techniques a little bit more. But I'm going to let each one of you. When we're going to start with you, Chris, explain how you got to fishing for specs.
So my dad's Air Force, 20 years. We moved everywhere, and my dad was consistent everywhere he lived. Fishing was a thing. He lived in England, Seattle, Texas, everywhere.
England. Okay, real quick, what kind of fishing do we do in England?
He did a lot of offshore stuff, or carp. They're really big into carp out there.
Really?
Yeah. So
like our kind of carp.
Yeah, but they're big and
do they eat them?
Some of them do, but they'll like pressure cook them down and then make like balls or patties or something like that.
All right, so they got to tenderize that junk.
Yeah, because there's a lot. There's a few bones in that thing.
Yeah, they got to do a little work on that fish first. Okay, so keep going.
So my dad, we always grew up fishing and hunting and outdoor stuff because no matter where we moved.
Oh, there we go. All right, yeah, there you go. Timed it just right.
Yeah, that's where no matter where we were, that was a consistent thing. So he always taught me.
Your dad took you, and that's good. That's a good thing. I'm glad you had that opportunity like that. How about you? We've talked this before, but let's go ahead and rehash it.
Yeah, my family, we've always fished. My parents, grandparents, we grew up fishing in Alabama. But growing up, most of the time we fished catfish a lot on the rivers. South Alabama has mostly rivers, not a lot of lakes in South Alabama. So we were on the big rivers and we were catfishing. And we did crappie fish some, but I didn't really start crappie fishing a lot till I moved to Texas. I was in Texas and a lot of fishing on a lot of those lakes in Central Texas. Then about a year after so, I started fishing hard is when I started the soft plastics company. And
right.
Then I mean, you almost have to fish for crappie if you make the plastics, right? So
that's what they tell me. That's what they tell me. But I'm a jig company. I'm terrible. I'm so bad at it.
Yeah. So from there, and that was probably 7 years or so ago.
Gotcha.
That I've really got heavily into it. But I've fished my whole life, and we fish for pretty much everything.
Everything like that. Fishing with farming guys. If I forget you kayak guys, I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that. I don't even remember what I forgot them for. So apparently I forgot them on something. So do you remember what I forgot the kayak guys for?
I do not.
I don't either. So again, huh? Well,
the guest.
The guest.
I think that's what you mean.
The guest. Oh, I forgot
your
that.
guest. No.
I still got a little bit. We got a few more minutes before I bring him on. I'm sitting going, I don't remember what I did to make the kayak guys mad already tonight. Generally, when Blake's here, they're mad, the second we start. But I'm like, okay, I was really trying to do that. Bass are actually considered trash fish in several other countries. And that is true. A lot of I've heard them called green trout, stuff like that. Ditch pickle, stuff like that. What about you, Josh? How did you get your start into crappie?
I grew up on Lanier, and I did a lot of striper fishing with my dad growing up, and I just didn't like waiting long periods of time between the bites. I like catching the numbers. That's why I started fishing crappie.
Right. Okay.
Joined a local club and do a lot of tournament fishing and got to fishing a lot.
Okay. So how long you been guiding for?
I've been guiding full time for 3 years.
3 years. And you are an official captain.
I am a master captain.
Now I want you to explain to all our listeners who do not understand what a master captain is.
It means you went and took a long class and read a lot of books and passed the test.
Okay. All right. Well, I was looking for a better answer.
I mean, that's honestly what it is.
Listen, I totally get
we're
that.
Drug tested. We got to take CPR classes. You got to know the rules of the road. You got to know your weight limits. And
so if you get a big girl on,
and then the boat's going like that, you need to put your beer on this side of the boat to even it out.
Have you ever had to do that? Have you ever say, listen, ma'am, listen.
Look,
I'm just kidding.
Sometimes I got to tell some people to sit up here on the step up.
You got to even this boat.
I can't plane. The boat won't plane out. So
have you really had to do that?
A couple of times, yes.
Okay, well, more power to you, baby. I love it.
I fished a couple guys that were,
and these are guys, not women. Sorry for all our women people watching.
Couple guys from the NFL, and they were probably 320, 340 plus. They were big dudes.
Yeah.
And I had to get one to sit up front.
Since my boat can't get on the plane, guys, help us out right here.
It wouldn't go over 20 that day.
Really?
No, it was a slow push.
I got slow push. I got you. So a couple questions real quick before we get into the next little segment. Does the soft plastic, so you popped it over, hit that up for me there, Paul. Does the soft plastic dye work on marabou hair jigs? I have no idea. I don't know what,
I haven't tried.
I would say spike it. I would say that. Well, what would you think?
Well, it's dye to color it, right?
Yeah. So a lot of guys in the bass world, and we'll explain it to these guys right here. We'll take the trailers and they'll dip it in that chartreuse. I know you know what I'm talking about, but they they do that. So I'm assuming in Missouri, George, and Scotster, if you will actually clarify your comment a little bit, we'll go into a little more in depth. So also Eric Thurman says that you have to have navigation, rules of the road, safety, firefighting. That's interesting. Okay, stuff like that, and how to even out the load of a boat. So that sounds pretty good. That sounds like what makes a captain.
Yeah, that's part of it.
And Brian, I like Brian. It means if things go bad, you want him around. Yeah, that's probably true too. So, all right, guys. So we're in here about 40 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead. Paul, do we have Daniel on? Can we try to go ahead and get him on? Let's go ahead and try to get Daniel on. I'm gonna go ahead and read a couple of things while we do this. We're gonna give you guys a break. So if you need to go. I know you're kind of old, Chipper. If you need to take a potty break right now, huh?
Good.
You good? Yeah, everybody's good. How about you? You good? Hold on to your butts right there. So we're going to try to bring Daniel Paris in. And right there we go. Hey, there you go. How you doing, Daniel? Can you hear me?
Yeah, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good. It's just a slight delay, but that's fine. I'm going to read a couple of things real quick for everybody. That I want everybody to know. And let's see, I got to find that. Let me find. John sent me a little John Rush. I guess is John the president? Is that how you would say of Peach State Kayak? Is that? He's definitely one of the uppers. Is that how you say it? He's on the board. All right there. So he sent me this, and you guys had a tournament out on Lake Eufaula, right?
Yes.
That was on Lake Eufaula. And you were fortunate. We ever hold on a second. I think everybody's doing beer orders or something right here, and they're leaving me out of this and all that right there. So just kidding. So everybody, he was telling me that you took first place, and I want to read this real quick. So it was the second tournament on Peach State's Kayak Anglers Trail this year, and it was on Lake Eufaula, March 27th. It was a joint event with Real Crazy, and they had over 55 anglers competing. For their chance to take home a piece of the little over $2,700 pot. Now, third place went to Nick Dyer. He also took third place at the Lake Seminole tournament. Now we're going to get into this is a length, guys. We're a lot of you guys that are used to us talking about weight. We're talking about length right here. So he took third place with 85.25 inches. Second place was Mitchell White with 87 inches, and of course, first place was our guest tonight, Daniel Paris, with 88.75 inches. And you also took home big fish of 20.75 inches and $1,500 for the win. So again, congratulations on all that. That's impressive. Now, for our listeners tonight, a big fish of 20.75. Now, what are we talking about in a weight? If you could estimate the weight of that fish, so that we can kind of compare it.
I'd say around 5.5, 6 pounds.
About 5.5, 6 pounds. Now, I mentioned to you earlier, now when you knew you were going to fish this tournament, did you have something already, like a plan going in your mind? Hey, I'm fishing Eufaula, late March. This is what I'm going with. And if you don't mind, as much as possible, could you share, kind of what your plan was going into the tournament?
Yeah, we had it down Friday morning. One day before
I think we're losing
3 fish. So we had one day. Can you hear me?
Hey, Paul? I think I'm losing him a little bit. Try it again. Right, let's try it again now. Daniel, go ahead.
We went down on Friday, one day before the tournament, to try to figure out the water.
Okay.
First place we went to was really muddy, so we decided we wanted to look for clear water. So we drove further south, closer to the dam. First place we fished, we didn't find anything. So we just packed up and really just made a decision at the last minute to fish where we went to, on tournament morning. And I'd gotten a little tip, in the early spring when the fish are moving up, they're going to warmer water, obviously. Right. So when the sun comes up in the morning, the sun is shining on the west side of the lake. The sun comes up and it's hitting the west side. So that's where I wanted to start out. We was able to launch and lines in at 7:30. And my first cast, I hooked an 18.5-inch fish on my very first cast. And I was fishing right up against the grass edges.
Right.
With a Texas rig. With a Texas rig at that time. And I thought, well, hey, it might be something, you catch when you first cast, So I fished the Texas rig, I guess, for another hour and a half, 2 hours with not a bite. And so I tied on a shaky head after that, and it was on. I mean, I fished a shaky head on the edge of the grass the rest of the evening, and the rest of the day. I just fish.
So hey, listen. So on this side, we're getting it. You're breaking up, but it's funny. You only break up when you say the color of what you're throwing. every time you start saying something, it goes silent. You'll be Texas rig and up, and then you come back and all that. So we're gonna battle through this. I realize you're in Rome, and so we're gonna battle through this and get with it. Now, are you a member of Peach State or are you a member of Real Crazy? I never asked earlier.
I'm a member of Real Crazy.
You're a member of Real Crazy. Okay. All right. So like that.
Yeah.
All right. So where is Real Crazy out
of? Rome, Georgia.
They're out of Rome. Okay. I got that. I thought that. Yeah. Now, how would you compare your plan in your head and you were kind of trying to say what actually happened? Did you have to make a lot of adjustments during the day to get this win?
Once I made that first adjustment over to the shaky head, I mean, it was over.
Yep.
I mean, I wore them out after that.
So shaky head was the winning ticket.
Yeah. Robo worm.
Okay. Robo worm. Okay. Okay. Now let me tell you something. Since we've got a bad connection, here's what I'd like to do. I know you're in Rome, and I want to give you your time for this. Let's see if we can schedule here in the next couple weeks. It's about an hour, 15-minute drive, somehow, some way, to get you down here in studio with a couple other kayak guys, and let's really allow you to really go a little more in depth. Because again, like I said, our connection's kind of in and out right there, and I don't want anybody to. I don't want to rob you of your time. I want to give you your due time because you did win a tournament. That is a big thing. You won it on the big lake. Great prize like that. So you think here in the next couple of weeks we can get you in studio and do this interview? That way people can hear you actually. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, you're smiling. So you're smiling, and I heard a yes. So let's do this. Let's do this again. Like I said, I apologize that we can't. The connection's a little off tonight, and but again, congratulations on your win. And I'll get with you tomorrow, next day, and we'll get you in here, and we'll get some of your Real Crazy buddies in here, and we'll talk a little more kayak fishing and do a special kayak show with some different kayak guys that I've had in the past. I think it'd be a fresh kind of interview. So you good with that? I love that delay. There you go. I got a thumbs up. That's all I wanted to see, buddy. So again, hey, we appreciate you. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get you on here again. Okay. So thanks a lot. Guys. Yeah. So sometimes that happens. Listen, technology is what it is sometimes, but cell service in some of these places is not always what you would like it to be. But Peach State Kayak's next tournament is on April 24th, actually on Lake Lanier. And if you want to find out any more information, you can find out on their Facebook group or on Tourney X, which is big with you kayak guys. Paul can speak more into that than I can. Again, I apologize that we couldn't get a little bit better connection with Daniel. But listen, anytime you win a tournament, that's something. So definitely want to give him his due time. And Eufaula is a big lake for bass guys, whether you're in a boat, kayak, or whatever. Is there any crappie on Eufaula?
And here in Georgia?
Alabama, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of crappie.
A lot of
Eufaula. And it's kind of like Oconee and Weiss too. It's got brush piles, it's got standing timber, it's got docks.
Gotcha.
It's got everything.
Okay,
there's a lot of crappie down there.
All right, so that's perfect. So yeah, kick Daniel Paris, he'll be removed. Kick the guest right there. It pulls up. We're ready. Right there. So Daniel, again, we appreciate you. We'll get him back on. So all right, so let's get back to we're going to talk about Specs. We're going to get in a little more thing. First of all, though, before we do, I want to say thank you real quick. I want to show everybody this. Can you pull the camera back up there? I'm good. You can see. Okay, I can keep going. Listen, all I see is Daniel's face, so it's kind of scary right there. I want to thank the Pickens High School fishing team. We sponsored them along with a lot of you guys know Brock Turner, Turner Tire, and all that. So they brought me this jersey here. You can see Fish North Georgia up there. Again, I want to say thank you very much. We got our name on the back. We're going to be putting this up in the store. We're actually going to box frame it somehow. And I just want to kind of tell everybody out there. So now, now I can see them. Look at Fish North Georgia right there with that P. Even though I'm from Dawson County, the store is in Pickens County, and we used to be enemies, but now we're friends. And so I appreciate you guys. And I want to tell everybody, if you can get involved with high school fishing or high school kids, whether it's taking them, I don't care if you're taking them brim fishing for shell cracker or whatever, taking them crappie fishing. I say it for the guys, right? I'll say it for the guys right there. Just for you.
Yeah,
it'd be crappy in a second. Or bass fishing. Guys, get involved with the youth. All right. You never know, just mentoring the right kid can keep them out of trouble. All right. It can just take one trip to instill the love of fishing with a kid that don't ever get a chance. There's a lot of these high school tournaments that need captains. A lot of kids want to fish. They ain't got a boat. I mean, let's be honest, not everybody's got a boat. So see if there's a way you can volunteer and be a better influence on a young person's life. Boy, girl, it don't matter. But take them fishing. Nothing really ever goes wrong when you take them fishing right there. So can you pull back that comment up real quick there, Paul, about the cooler? So Todd Meadows right there. Put your fish in a cooler with a bag of ice in the summertime. If you know you're going to keep them, never put them in the live well. All right. Now, why would he make that statement?
So, I mean, in the summertime, you would think, you look at water temperature while you're fishing in the summertime on your unit or whatever you're using, right? And it's 80s plus, right?
Right.
And that's surface temperature, obviously, but that water going in your live well is also that hot and hotter if it's sitting in there all day. So if you're trying to keep fish alive, you got to keep the water cool, keep them on ice in the live well if you're trying to keep them, if you have a tournament or things like that. But what Todd's saying is, I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're going fishing in the summertime and you're going crappie fishing to keep fish to take it home,
right?
Might as well just throw them in a live well and keep them fresh, cold throughout the whole day.
Yeah, that's a different thing though about crappie tournaments. God, I can't believe I'm saying it that way. It's like spec tournaments is that you guys pretty much keep your fish.
We do.
You do. There is no, hey, we're going to catch release.
No, not always. It depends on it depends really on the person or the tournament trail. If you're fishing, the American Crappie Trail, Crappie Masters, Crappie USA, those type tournaments, they release. I mean, because they're heavily on, releasing the fish, keeping the fish alive.
So they try to do the same techniques that a bass guy would do.
Yeah,
they release
the fish after the tournaments.
Okay, all right. Do you use like oxygen stuff like that, like some of the bass guys do, where they pump pure oxygen into the water, stuff like that? Do you guys have any of that kind of set up?
So I have an oxygenator in my live well, right? That pumps the bubbles,
Yeah.
And I use water treatment like G juice. A lot of people use G juice when they're in the live wells, that kind of thing, right? Keeping the water cool, and when we go into weigh in, those fish are just as lively when we go to weigh in as they are, when you catch them. So I mean, when you're trying to weigh them in, they're all flopping, moving, flopping everything, so they're lively. And then after the weigh in, we put them back in.
Okay,
put them back in the water.
I got you that. So Eric Thurman, I handed my pole to a little girl today at War Hill to reel a bass in that I hooked. She was excited, but we lost the fish. It don't matter. It don't matter that you lost the fish. I know, there's probably a little period of disappointment right there, but I promise you, Eric, that she will remember trying to reel that fish in. So that's a big thing. Guys, if you don't start handing it down and taking care of the resources and doing it, it's, you're going to screw the next generation. Might as well teach them. And teach them right. So that's a good thing that you did that. Now, let's get into the techniques a little bit. I made you guys all bring some rods and stuff like that because our viewers like that. And unfortunately, if you listen to this later, say on iTunes or stuff, you don't get to see it. You can always go to YouTube at Fish North Georgia and watch it. And you can see some of the stuff that they're using. So what is your, Chris, favorite technique? Let's go for fun fishing and then tournament fishing. And they may be one and the same. And if they are, that's fine. If you're going to chase specs tomorrow.
So chasing them has been with the live scope has been probably one of the most fun, I guess, ways to do it.
And why is that?
Because you're kind of seeing everything happen, and you're kind of chasing one or two fish. It's a lot fun. It's a lot of fun having a mess of fish, and you're dropping them in and pulling them out and stuff. But lately, we've been chasing them with the live scope, and you can kind of pull them off one at a time.
So you guys can say, listen. So you pull out your live scope, and you see, and do you use this with the guiding part too? Do you have one too? Okay, so you all got it. So let's don't take the guiding thing. Let's take in a tournament situation. You pull up and you see a school of 50 fish. Do you try with your live scope to identify, hey, that bottom fish in the right corner, that's a stud? Can you do that with crappie?
So I mean, you could.
Yes. Okay.
It takes a while to see that, but in my personal experience, you come up to fish and you see a school of 50 fish. They're going to be small or on the smaller side.
Good point.
The smaller side. So the bigger fish you're looking for aren't going to be in a school of 50 fish.
That's a good point.
They're not going to be with the rest of the fish. Most of the time, they're not even going to be on the structure a lot. They're going to be around it. They're not going to be right in the structure. Now you will catch bigger ones and things like that. But most of the time from past experience, the bigger fish you catch are going to be off away from a big
loners a little bit like that. Now
they're going to be suspended.
Now you two fish together tournament, so correct. Yep. So you're tournament partners full time on all of them, or do you have other partners?
Yeah, well, so
much?
for the two trails in Georgia, yes, me and him fish these, and then I fish one in Alabama with a guy over in Alabama.
So he's not 100% faithful to you, but he's pretty close.
No, different zip codes, so it's okay.
Keep working. Yeah, okay, different. Just keep working on him. And the Lord will work on him, and you'll get him there like that.
So I've been fishing with Kyle before, and we were fishing over brush,
right?
And we were catching nice fish, and he said, "Well, I don't care about those. I see some bigger ones over here," and he threw the other way and brought in a bigger fish. I thought he was crazy, but because we were catching nice fish here, but he went over there and got bigger fish, just 20 yards the other way.
See that, and that's interesting. The first time I see, everybody has seen these videos of the bait dropping in the fish, but you showed me. You were the very first video I ever seen of and you have a Garmin, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the very first one that I ever seen, Brian, 3 county. Did I move out of focus there, buddy? Okay, so the 3 county rule. Okay, that's what he's saying. 3 county rule. So as long as they're 3 counties away, you're good on that. I know that, but listen, it's tough, and I feel for Chris. I think he needs to, I think Kyle needs to commit full time. He needs that commitment in order to be able to sleep well at night and to know that Kyle's got his back. So not just in Georgia, but all over. So we're working. I'll just mess with you guys. But what's interesting, though, the very first video I ever saw of a bait coming down into a mess of fish and a fish moving and then you showed me. And that was when it first came out. I thought that was just the absolute, it was the neatest thing. It was one of the neatest things I'd ever seen. But now we always tell guys, and we had this big argument last week or maybe the week before about how it's changing tournaments and stuff like that. But when you can pick out certain fish or go and say, hey, here's a school of 50 that probably ain't got what we need. Now you're using it more as a tool as opposed to, hey, here's 100 fish. Let's just catch 100 fish and move on to the next one. So had you experienced the Garmin before fishing with him? So that's your first experience. What the first time you saw it and that technology, what was your take on it?
It was, so I bought a Lowrance exact same time he bought his Garmin. I put the Lowrance on my boat, and then I fished his boat with his Garmin before I went back to my Lowrance. And so now I bought one.
No, you bought one. You did not. So you did now for the other sonar makers and stuff that are coming out with that. Now, so do you still have your Lowrance?
I do.
So have you seen any of the other live stuff like that? Can you compare?
Yeah, so
them?
I've seen Lowrance. So Lowrance is the only one.
Live scope is cheating. That's for Kyle and Chris.
Oh, Lord.
That's the fiance.
Yeah, that's
whose fiance?
That's his.
Okay, good. Listen, I wanted to make sure it wasn't the guy. All right, I know it says Tabitha, but I just wanted to make sure.
And that's my wife.
And that's your wife.
On that one, yeah,
so y'all's wives is keeping up with y'all tonight.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, listen, ladies, we appreciate you watching. We encourage you to watch future episodes where we can teach you a little more about bass angling and stuff like that and broaden your horizons. But for tonight, we're being blessed with with the wife and the fiance. How old are you?
29.
29. Okay, that's a good age. Okay, that's a good age for that. So, but so what were we saying now? We were talking about the
Lowrance is the only Humminbird hasn't released theirs. Right?
It's you can pre-order it right now.
Right, you can, but there's hardly no video. There's
nothing
no
on it, pretty much. Right.
And honestly, I will, because I like Humminbird. I have Solix units on my console.
Yes.
And if it was out already, I would already have it on the bow instead of Garmin. But I
can pre-order it for you, right?
Yeah, but I don't want. I'm gonna wait a little while before I.
You want to wait and see what's going on? Okay.
Before I go and order it, but
this is a good time. Hold on, this is a good time for me because Paul always says I don't pick the right spots. If you're interested in any of the Humminbird products, they're now all available at fishnorthgeorgia.com, and you can actually finance them with a firm. So don't let that price scare you on some of that stuff. And you can pre-order the Live and pair it with your 360 and your Helix units and stuff like that. We also have the new Apex and Apex units and stuff like that. So just want to do that for Paulie back there so he doesn't get on to me here in an hour and said, why didn't you say anything? There you go. All right, go back.
So I haven't personally used the Lowrance. I haven't Active Target. I haven't used it.
Okay.
I've seen a few videos.
Right.
I mean, they're also with the second release, right, of the Lowrance. The first one, was not good. What we got?
Your mama's watching too.
Yeah.
Listen. Listen. Your mama's watching.
Yeah.
Did you tell her you're going to be on? Did you? No.
I shared it on Facebook page. Yeah.
Well, okay, Mrs. Reeves, it is a pleasure, ma'am, to have you actually watching this program here tonight. So, and I encourage you as well. We'll teach you a little bit about bass angling if you don't already know it. And if you do already know it, let me invite you to be a guest on a future episode so that you can teach us, because we all need a little help right there. But thank you again. And listen, you got a fine son. All right. He's a fine young man right there. So is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
You can leave the 20 on the door.
All
right, there we go.
Got it. But yeah, so I haven't used active Target with Lowrance. So the videos I've seen, I mean, it's very similar. There's some things different between the two,
right?
But definitely for the guys that have Lowrance, I mean, unless you want to go out and spend another, $3,000 plus.
Yes,
I mean, I
understand.
It's something to have. So
it is. Technology is expensive. Now you're running the Garmin's.
I have two of them.
You have two of them. Network, front and back. All right. So, in your estimation, since you've gotten the Garmin's, and let's talk, since you're coming from a guiding perspective a lot too, how has that changed the way you treat your customers or put them on fish?
Well, the customers love it. And you were talking earlier about seeing those big schools of crappie on the brush and under docks. You might see 200 or 300, but you're only going to catch 5 to 10 of those. You're not going to catch 200 or 300 as many.
Right.
So, but the customers love watching their jigs. They like seeing their minnows come down. It
is interesting for them to do that.
And they got a visual. They're just not just like just the guide saying, okay, there's fish down there. Trust me. They can actually see it.
Now, how about kids? You take kids out?
I do. Not a lot, but we do take kids.
So when you do take the kids and they see that kind of stuff, and I find that the younger people are far more technology advanced than we are anyway, especially me. Y'all seen me before this show started, so So how do they relate to that?
I don't find that the kids pay a lot of attention to it. They're spending more time getting their jigs out of the rafters or out of the trees.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Because they're at home playing video games all the time, right? They don't need to go out, on the
so I totally understand. I totally get it. So all right, so let's start talking. Especially you, given that you own a crappie lure manufacturing company. Mm-hmm. That's the best way to put it. Let's start getting into the techniques that you guys like to use. Let's say we're going to target them on Lanier tomorrow, just for because most of our audience is Lake Lanier North or any of these other type of lakes. Let's start talking about the rods that we're using. You've got a number of baits that are strode out here. Just and you can hold them up and kind of talk about what you're doing. I know you fish a lot of his baits like that, and of course you fish with him. So if he's lying to us, let us know. I mean, no, this ain't a sales pitch for his company. If that bait don't work, tell us. Like that. Customer probably tries harder when they can actually see the fish, and that's probably a good thing. It gets them a little more excited. stuff like that.
They'll spend more time at one spot trying to get that fish, even when you're trying to get them to leave because they're not biting. They want to say,
but I see it.
"Yeah,
I know it's there. Let's
yeah.
do it." Okay, that's a good point, and I think that's one of the things too. And I'm just going to throw one more bass thing in here. Is that's the downfall of a lot of bass anglers using this too, because they see that fish, they know it's there, but they will absolutely spend hours trying to catch that one fish and say, you know what? Just like you said, it's not biting. Let's go ahead and let's go somewhere else like that. So it was awesome to see the ATX jig go down to the fish while out fishing with Josh, and actually their reaction to the lure and bringing them up to the boat. So it helps with the total experience. And I guess that's too. I'd be like, hey, there it comes. Because the first time I saw the video, I was kind of impressed with it. Like, man, this is lights out. That's game changer. Stuff like that. But again, at the same time, you still got to catch that fish.
Well, yeah. When a few bass guys, the coolest thing to happen on our screen is when there's a school and a big bass comes right through the middle of them. They just disperse and go crazy.
So you've seen that?
I've seen it more with schools of shad, because you can see that. I mean, you see the fish swim through.
You find a school of shad.
Yeah.
Garmin is like bed fishing all year. You're always looking at it. And listen, it is. And listen, it is that. You know, and definitely not. We're not knocking it. It's an experience and it's a tool. But how do you differentiate between shad and crappie, and crappie to bass, and bass to stripers? And I mean, come on, seriously. I mean, you look at something, you're like,
yeah. So the easiest thing with shad and crappie or bait fish in general is, the bait fish are going to be a lot smaller. They're going to look like a cloud, essentially, just like on a regular sonar for the most part. I mean, it's going to be a big cloud.
How tight the ball is on the screen.
Right.
That dictates too what type of fish and stuff like that.
The movement. You'll see them moving a lot faster. You'll see whites just swimming by, where you'll see that ball sit there.
When you say whites?
White bass.
White bass. Okay, so you can kind of tell by what's going across the screen. That's probably white bass based upon the speed they're going by. Or that's probably shad based, or a bass.
Yeah, just
but probably
not a crappie.
Not a crappie. Yeah. Probably shad based upon the tightness of the ball you're seeing. Now, if striper come through,
same thing, bigger
speed. They're usually hauling across the screen.
Yeah,
so they're not cruising. Stripers are flying through there.
And then the size and shape, because the whites and the stripers and everything, you'll see a longer. Whereas the crappie, you'll see more of like a circle. And then same thing with like the bait, you'll see a smaller circle or a ball of essentially just no gaps.
Do they mount the live scope transducer to the trolling motor or a separate mount? Go ahead.
I started out with it on my trolling motor, and I've moved it to a pole. So I have it just in front of the steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So my customers typically sit in the seat up front, and I stand behind them on the side. I can look over their shoulder, see the screen, and turn the camera whichever way I need to turn it.
Okay, so from a business perspective, that helps you with your customer experience. Just kind of you see what they're doing, so you're kind of trying to guide the customer from the helm.
Yeah, that way I don't have to be knocking them out of the way, so I can get up front to turn the camera.
Okay, all right.
Now, some of these guys that got more money, they know what to do with across the table.
Like Kyle?
Yeah, like Kyle. They have this remote control on their trolling motor that turns theirs. So, but then you got two remotes, so you can figure it out if you're coordinated well enough.
You got remote controls for your stuff there, okay?
Yeah, so I mean, if I had all the money he was saying, I would actually have two transducers. I'd have one on the trolling motor and one on the mount, because it depends on how you're fishing, right? Of where you want it. So I do have an electric mount that I have my transducer attached to, which is on the side of my trolling motor, and it has a foot pedal and a remote, so you can use the feet or you can use your remote. Shooting docks, fishing brush piles, that kind of thing,
right?
It works great. You know, if you're chasing suspended fish and those kind of things, or fishing standing timber, facing it, that's when on the trolling motor works good, because it turns the way you're going, right? But I've kind of almost mastered the, because I have a foot pedal on my
You
Ultra.
sound like me. I've almost mastered it. I my wife. I've almost mastered it, but yeah, keep going.
I have an Ultrex, so I have a foot pedal and a remote for my trolling motor. Most of the time I'm using.
You're an engineer, or she's an engineer? Are you an engineer?
I'm an engineer, yeah.
Oh, so why the hell am I talking to Kyle? Seriously. Well, okay. Listen, the wife done told on you, but go ahead. I'm going to let you finish this question. And
That's
you
all
can
right.
just,
That's all right. Yeah, he puts it all. He puts everything on the boat, and I'm like, this. I think this works.
This is great. So let me ask you this, Mr. Engineer, because this happens a lot with a lot of tournament guys. Do you ever just sit there and just go? Does he ever just get on your damn nerves just looking down at something? You're like, Kyle, you're not using that right. I mean, does he? Be honest. Come on. You can say yes.
Actually, it's the other way around because I can't. He's used his boat so much that he does both pedals and everything like that, and then I'll sit down and he'll be standing up or he'll tie a jig. And then he'll come up and I'm trying to like chase a fish and do stuff and try to fish and chase a fish. And there's just too much going up. And I'm like, I'm going to go tie a jig. I'm going to break this so I can go tie a jig.
That's fantastic because, I mean, listen, I know a lot of guys that have got these things and I know how they fish pre these super electronics and now. And they get on each other's nerves because, one's a power fisherman and another guy has just taken to this and he's looking down the whole time. And it causes a little bit of friction.
Well,
and little friction's healthy.
We're both looking down a lot, and I'm sure he gets aggravated at me while we're sitting out there fishing because, I had the foot pedal on the Ultrex too. So what I normally do the wintertime is we've been chasing mostly suspended fish, right? That's where they are, in the wintertime. So I have one foot on the Ultrex, trying to chase the fish and direct the fish, and then I have my other foot on the pedal of the transducer to turn it, and then that way I have both hands I can fish.
So you're working 2 feet and fishing at the same time.
Yeah. You see, pole, remote, done.
See,
that's complicated.
Yeah, but what if you have a remote in your hand? How are you going to fish?
That's talent, though.
That is talent.
That's some talent.
So there was one tournament in particular, though. We were on Lake Sinclair, and the wind was awful. And I was getting aggravated because I was trying to do all of that. And as soon as I got it in a spot and I would throw my reel out, the lure out to get to him, the boat was already moved. So I finally, after about an hour trying to do that, I was like, all right, Chris, here, you just fish. So I didn't fish at all. I controlled everything because I couldn't do it all.
So you took one for the team to help put him on the fish.
Yeah. And then it didn't help that he missed several of them that way.
So
but
does that make you feel a little bit better, even though he's got another guy in Alabama?
Yeah. That was a Georgia tournament. So
okay,
it felt good.
So that's where the bonding I got that.
Sub-zero temperatures and stuff always bring it closer,
rough. It does, don't it? It's amazing. You'll be spooning with somebody out there on the boat before you know it. All right, so I want to do this again. We keep saying let's talk about the stuff. I want you to start getting some rods and stuff and kind of getting in your mind, both of you, what you're going to talk about. And I want you to take the time and to talk a little bit. Aren't they precious, your wife? I know they are. Listen, they are kind of cute together. They are kind of cute, and they're I can tell they like each other. They're real. No. I want you to talk about the tournament, what you're doing for the vets that you got coming up, and you guys kind of get in your mind what you want to do. Talk about the fish, but I want to take the time to give you a little bit to talk about what you're doing with the vets and how anybody can help you.
So I have a tournament every year. It's called Fishing with Military Heroes. It's through the North Georgia Crappie Anglers. Our club puts it on. We got coming up April 24th is Saturday, and we have 105 vets signed up, and we have 50 local boat guides, captains, and volunteers coming to take those vets out for a day fishing. We're going to have prizes galore. We have lunch for everybody. We got T-shirts for the participants, and it's just all for a good day on the lake for the vets and everybody that wants to come out and be a part of it.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. I tell you, and one thing too, and it's not just crappie fishing. It's whatever they can catch.
So we have prizes for bass. We have prizes for striper. We have crappie. It's going to be the largest crappie. If anybody brings in an exactly 2 pound and 2 ounce crappie, you're going to get a $200 cash bonus. We have.
There you go. All right, yeah.
We got plaques for all the winners. For each category being bass, and for the striper, we're going to take a picture on the board and release those back as they catch them. But
And how does this, as a person, how does this make you feel? What motivates you to do this?
I enjoy it. I get lots of stories back from the guys as they go out and the veterans each year. This is our 4th year doing it. This will be over 500 veterans that we've took out fishing. And I just like the stories. I met lots of friends through this. And it's good all around for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And where can somebody that if they want to help you this year or in future years, how can they get in touch with you?
They can find me on my Facebook page. It's Crappie on Lanier. And you can also find it at North Georgia Crappie Anglers. They're the club that's backing this with all the sponsorship and all the members coming together to put it on.
Yeah, I think it's again. All right, so we're on our second group of people. We've already talked. Hey, take a youth fishing, and guys, they're and gals. Excuse me. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm getting involved with Fishing for Warriors as well, being on their board. Anytime. Yeah, and thank you, Paul, for putting that on there. Paul is so great at doing that. You can see it right there in the comments. Definitely take some time for somebody who gave a portion of their life, some time in their life to serve our country. And some of them were in just hellish circumstances, so that guys like me can sit here in front of a microphone talk fishing. All right, so that we can put these things out. If you ever have the opportunity, jump on it, okay? Just jump on it. Just give some of your time. If you can give your talent, your time, and your treasures. All right, that's what our pastor always says. So if you got time, give it. If you got a talent and you can fish, give it. If you got treasures, money, donate. All right, one of the three things that'll help you as an individual. And good grief, we owe them so much.
So one of the other things I got working right now is once a month I'm taking 20 of the veterans from the Wounded Warrior Project. We're meeting in Gainesville. We're doing it once a month. If there are any vets watching this or Wounded Warriors guys, you can get in touch with me. I can get you set up with that. We're doing it a small group during the week. We go out, we fish for fun from 8 to noon, then we come back and have lunch together. And I've had really good success of just talking about it to other guides and other people I run into at the bait shops and getting people to come out and help me. When we started this with Wounded Warrior, they told me, we got all these guys that want to go fishing. And I told them, I said, I'll try to commit to take 10 of them per month. Well, the first month was 10. It was great. The second month, they had 40 people sign up. They said, can we send 20? I was like, well, I'll do what I can. I'll see if I can find guides to take 20 guys. And we did. I just mentioned it to a few people, and our local community is great. They came together and we put it together. Well, here we are, our third month in a row doing this. They said, we put it out for 20 and I have 40 people signed up. And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm calling everybody I know, trying to get some people, but I put the word out. We're going to go this Friday, and I've already got 5 boats that have committed, plus a community dock where we can set these other guys up that don't want to get on a boat. And we're going to take all these guys fishing.
And so, you guys, that's what I'm trying to say. We can talk about fishing all day long. It's the act of service. It's the act of getting off your butts and going to help your fellow man, especially people who have, put their life in danger for us, who have been in harm's way, who, again, have served our country. There's a lot of us watching tonight or that will watch this in the future. Hey, listen, we didn't all serve, and that's okay. But those that did, they deserve our respect. It's regardless of your political affiliation or whatever. So, again, I want to really encourage you guys, and this is why I knew I was going to do this. I didn't know at what point, whether you're, if you're an electric-only guy watching tonight, somehow, some way, you can do the same thing with him. All right. You may not be able to fly as far as some of these guys, but you can put somebody on a boat and just take them out for a few hours. We'll figure out a way for kayak guys to do it too. So it's just something that we all do. You can see it right there in the comments right there. Get in touch with Josh. All right, there's a lot of things that are worth doing, and this is definitely one of them. So, like I said, I knew I was going to bring it up tonight. I appreciate you doing that. And guys, hey, some of the people that watch our show, whether you're watching tonight or at a later date, you're some of the best people we know. Try to help out with this as best you can in any way possible like that. Before we get into it, super cool. Any news on the No Electronics tournament? It will be happening. It is going to happen. But we're going to listen. We're not going to have this tournament during bed season, all right? because to see the true talent of an angler, we want it to either be in the summertime or in the fall. And that way people are not looking for fish on beds. So, Bradley Ayers, that is absolutely amazing. I'll let my fellow vets that are in Georgia know about your WWP excursions and your tournament. And again, hey, listen, that's awesome. But if you can also find people to help, that's the big thing too. Just find people to help. It's nothing more than sharing what you just heard. Okay. If you want to be involved, that's great. At the least you can do is share it with people and try to get others involved. So again, thank you very much, Josh, for what you do with that. And, we'll have a Snoopy pole tournament. All you guys want to have some jacked up tournaments, and we're going to do that. All right. We might as well just say, hey, everybody's got 40 foot of line. Tie it around your big toe, fish with whatever the heck you want to. You get no rod. You just got to kick the fish in. Now we'll see what kind of God-given talent you got right there. So we'll try it all, but we're definitely going to do that. But I can tell you guys right now, when we do it, it's going to charity. All right. So we will, whenever we do this tournament, I'm not putting any tournament on like that. That's not in one of our regular tournament series. If we're going to do tournaments like this, we're going to figure out a charity, and all the money is going to charity. I don't care if you win it or not. And if people say, well, I ain't going to fish a tournament if I don't get some, then don't fish it. We want guys that are willing to give everything because we want to give it to charity, and then you can just get bragging rights, which is far more than $100 bill. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So we will definitely do it. We're just going to get past bedding season, spawning season for all that. Let's get into the summertime when it's hot, or let's get into the fall when we got a little transition going, and we will definitely throw it up. I know the elites are going to do some open tournaments as well, stuff like that. So, all right, now, my goodness, I can rabble. I can get going. You got some stuff right here that we're gonna talk about. You got stuff written down like a cheat sheet. You know what you're gonna talk about?
No, I was gonna let Chris go.
You gonna let Chris? Well, you might as well try because he's a smart one.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
So he's got the brains and the looks in this relationship.
You see his
Chris
pole
Gayton.
matches
Let's
his
do the
hat?
fall.
That's right.
Absolutely right there. I agree. Let's do it in the fall. And here's funny too about you crappie guys too. Hard line and forage your own bait. That's right. There you go. Everybody's got to go get something out of the woods. But gosh, we're going survival skills right there. So Fish North Georgia survival, no electronic survival tournament. That's what we're going to throw. One thing I got tickled when these guys start bringing down these rods. They got.
Oh, it's back here.
Listen, is that back there?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna.
They're compensating for something, people. That's all I can say. We're bringing 10-foot poles down here and stuff like that. But there's a purpose for it and all that. So I want you to explain to the guys that are watching. Let's talk about a little bit about the rods, and you chime in, you three. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to read the comments. Start like if you were teaching a class right now, a master class, and you got some people out there who know nothing about crappie fishing. You're giving them a tutorial right now on what you guys do, and you guys can coordinate amongst yourselves. And I'm just going to be the principal back here and watch the class. So y'all go ahead. It's all on you guys. Jump on. Go for it.
Cool. You can start with the.
All right. Well, yeah. One of the main ones that I always lean to is about a 5.6 light, medium light rod.
Okay. Fast tip. Definitely
fast tip. Yep. Exactly. And then you'll go with like a 16 32nd ounce jig head. And that's mainly for shooting. And so like this one.
Explain shooting for those that do not know shooting.
So shooting, which I barely learned since we didn't have docks in New Mexico.
I understand. Listen, I just learned how to skip docks the other day with bass stuff. So I'm right there with you. So no, don't be ashamed. Let's bring it on.
So shooting, you'll pull it to a dock. It's just like skipping a bait or anything like that. But these things aren't heavy enough to get momentum behind to actually skip.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're taking this lure and you're preloading your rod tip all the way back, and you're releasing that.
Yeah, you can start. So you see the bend in the rod. So what he's doing is he's taking the jig. Now, how do you hold the jig in your hand? So 2 fingers, I assume.
Away from your hook.
Yeah. So some people hold the bottom of the hook.
Yes.
And then some people hold the weight of the hook, or the weight.
Okay.
Or the head.
But if they're holding the weight, the hook is still kind of like parallel with them, right?
Yeah. Okay. So there's some danger with it. But
I like that.
So you're preloading your complete rod, and then you're releasing it, and it gets that momentum to actually bounce the same as a skip.
So what you're doing, just for those that are dumb like me, what he's doing is he's pulling back, and he's holding the line tight, and his pull is loading the rod tip, and then when he lets go, you're gonna have like a bow and arrow kind of effect. The rod tip is going to release. Let me do it this way so the rod tip's bit. It's going to release, thereby pulling. Now, when we shoot, are you pointing directly at where you're shooting? Is that pretty much how you aim?
Yeah. So you'll point it directly, and you're just pulling it down. And then
how long did it take you to master that, or have you mastered it yet? Come on, give me the truth. Kyle, can the man shoot ducks?
Yeah, he can shoot
Okay,
ducks.
that's all right. Yeah, I know you're trying to keep the relationship sound. Okay, how long did it take you the first couple times you tried it?
It was definitely frustrating.
It is, because I tried it.
Yeah, it's not.
Not bad.
It's definitely not easy. It's here we have floating docks and everything like that, so it's a little different. And then you go out to the Sinclairs and the Conies where they have set docks and everything, and so you have cross members and a lot of different variables that kind of go with that. But there's a lot of curse words that kind of come with the learning of shooting a dog.
Trust me, I understand. That part I get. And I say something, I look up and go, I'm sorry, Lord. And then I try to get him. Sorry, Lord. And then by the end of the day, he's like, yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
You stink at it and you're sorry. So, but I get it totally. Okay, so this is your standard setup. So when you're going crappie fishing, this is what you're looking for in your mind. You're looking for the dock, the structure, and you like to shoot.
Yeah, and then this is what you'll do a 500,000 series depending on the size of the reel, and then
what pound test line do we have on that?
That's 4 pound.
That's 4 pound test line, high vis.
Fluoro, yeah, high vis fluoro.
So that you're watching, looking for the line. Okay, all right, like that. Now, compared to these longer applications and stuff like that, when you're with it, you said it was what, 5.6, and you said it was fast, very fast, very light tip.
Yeah.
All right, and you're bringing a speck out from under a dock. Is there a special way that you have to feather the fish or fight the fish with such a short pole, or
you just want to keep them,
just get them out of there?
You keep them down, and then it's the kind of the same as bass. You don't want them coming up too fast. You don't want them coming towards you too fast. You're just keeping them, and then most of them, if they are worth size, you're not boat flipping. So you're fighting them to a net.
Not boat flipping, and tell everybody why you don't boat flip crappie.
Lips and breaking. I mean, obviously you have 4 pound test. You're not gonna
and the lips like that, because you can pull it out from the they're called paper mouse for a reason. So that's now, what brand reel are you throwing right there? What is that?
So this is a PC Fun, the carbons.
Right, and that's you carry those,
Yes,
right? On
yeah,
your
we carry
site.
those on the website.
Actually, I heard a lot of good stuff about.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah,
a lot of good stuff about
very
those. Very light and stuff like that. Now, and what brand rod is that you got?
So that I've actually started tying rods. So this is
yours.
mine.
This is a custom.
Yeah, so this is a custom rod. So I started tying rods because I was looking at custom rods.
Because you're an engineer and you guys just you got to flex on everything you do. You just got to be great on that. There's a better way in your mind.
You start looking at these rods and they're a couple $100, and it's like you want what you want. And so I started looking at it, and it was. I
got you. No, I got you. It's high vis fluoro clear underwater.
No, it's not. It's not. But
do crappie care?
No, I don't think they do. I mean, I use high vis on everything, and I fish clear lakes like Lanier, and I fish muddy.
So they're not as picky as a bass, and it doesn't. You're not tying a clear fluorocarbon leader on the end of that thing right there. Okay, and that's a great question, because it's interesting how some fish respond to it and some fish, spooks them and some don't. Okay, so you got a custom made rod, I can't pronounce it. Pissafun. Sounds like my Friday nights.
Good enough.
Pissafun reel, 4 pound high vis. You got a specific brand you like better than
K9 is usually what we're
K9.
Yeah.
All right, and you're using a one. Did you say a 1/16 or 1/32?
Well, we'll kind of bounce between that depending on how deep they are.
That's like uber light, man. I mean, that's
that's why you're shooting instead of skipping.
Okay, and so under docks, your jig color of choice, let's say clear, in a clear water situation.
Well, yeah, those two, white milk and chartreuse, or
you can hold them up for a camera too,
or bluegrass, which is
best you can. I don't know.
So you'll have a monkey milk or a white and chartreuse.
Now these are ATX creations, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, so yeah, it's kind of hard. We'll have
need a white piece of paper to put them on.
It would be something like that. I don't have.
That
was a song I was going to make you guys sing, but anyway. I'm not going to make you guys sing tonight. So, all right. So that's your favorite setup.
Yes.
All right.
Before you get too far,
yep.
you mentioned the K9 floral. That's hard to come by in these parts unless you see Kyle. I use the Vicious, and it's easy to find. The
Now, K9 you sell.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
so
and
K9
Vish.
line
Okay, I
as well,
got you.
yeah.
And guys, hey, listen, and that is, go ahead real quick and holler at your website.
Yes, atxlures.com.
Simple enough.
So, yeah,
ATX
we
Lures.
got soft plastics and reels and line. We have jig heads and that kind of stuff.
That stuff like that. Okay, and so you use Vicious.
I do. The Vicious doesn't tend to wad up and curl. It doesn't have a memory as bad as some of the other cheaper brands.
Right. Okay.
But
And then being a guide, that's something you got to take into account. Also cost too. I mean, that's a reason why a lot of guys put braid on a bass reel, on a spin reel, and use a fluoro leader instead of going all fluoro the whole way. Because I mean, hell, it can get expensive if you're changing line and all that. So I imagine getting in a setting where you're a guide, you got to take that consideration as well.
Well, all of my rods have the K9 braid except the slip bobbers and bobbers.
Okay.
So the K9 braid, I can save the jig heads. A lot of the time when they get into the brush, I can pull it out and not have to worry about us breaking as much.
Okay. All right.
So that's what I'm using. But everything I use does have high vis.
High vis. Okay. Since he's more of a tournament aspect with you, that you come from tournament, and I know Kyle fishes a little bit of both. I'm gonna go with you now though for a guide perspective, and I'm gonna go back to Kyle so we can kind of split the tournament stuff up. What kind of equipment are you using for your customers when they're out fishing?
So if a customer comes fishing with me, he's using my tournament stuff that I use.
Okay, and what is
I
that?
don't have anything put back. I'm using the ATX jigs. I've got these Carbon X's. I've got the Vipers, and I've got the Fires, the bigger ones.
And these are the brands of
They're
that
all
you can find
they're
on
all
ATX's
the
website.
yeah. And then I'm using the ACC Crappie sticks now.
Okay.
And I also have the B&M Slab Tails.
Where are they out of? Those two companies.
B&M's national, both of them. They're both national companies.
Yeah, ACC's out of Illinois.
Okay.
Mount Vernon, Illinois. They're close to Wren Lake.
Okay. All right, Wren Lake.
So
and why do you like those?
The light action, and when the customer gets if they pick up a 6-inch crappie, they think they got a 4-pound bass on there. It's so light tip.
Got a comment. Tell them what you're shooting under 6 inches tall areas, and that is very true. I mean, that's true. Now I have attempted this, and again, I just was given a hell of a lesson on skipping. With bassing. Some of these guys that are really good, they can put that booger in a spot. I mean, you're making the Miami U symbol like that, and then they can say, okay,
Yeah, shoot it in your coffee can over
You can. I mean, yeah, you really can. These guys. Now, I think the guys that can shoot are a little more. You can probably, especially using the smaller stuff, you probably can get in some of them places a little bit tighter than some of the bass guys can. Because I don't think too many bass guys don't necessarily shoot as much as they skip and flip. But it is a very small area, and sometimes it's just putting in that small area that's the difference in a bite or no bite. The wide open, so that fish could just be pulled just to the side, especially if you're under a dock, under that float or pontoon or whatever it's under. But you only have just
So when I'm teaching somebody to shoot, we start with a 5-gallon bucket.
Okay, all right,
laying down.
Okay.
Once they can ring that, then we set a solo cup out. And then when you shoot the solo cup, then you got it down.
So is that something that any of our viewers or listeners can do at home?
Yeah, you just go out in the driveway.
5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
At what distance would you recommend?
I always do with like 30 feet.
30 feet. All right. So 10 yards. So you're at 10 yards. You're shooting.
Cut your hook off too.
Yeah. Gotcha.
When you're in the driveway.
Yeah. Just do that. That makes perfect sense.
Makes it a little easier.
So 10 yards.
Yeah.
Shoot it into a 5-gallon bucket till you're proficient at that. Then you're shooting it into a solo cup.
Yep.
If you can pop a solo cup regularly, you're ready to shoot ducks.
Yep. But then you need to get on a windy day and let the solo cup roll around in the driveway because that's the action of your boat
and jump in the air and
yeah.
Hey, listen, we got to start simple though. For somebody like
5-gallon bucket.
5-gallon. I need a 35-gallon trash can. What I'm actually going to start doing this up. When Josh isn't here during the day, I'm sitting here, nobody, here watching me. I might start flipping upstairs in the building. I got a pretty good little space. I can do it along that back wall right there. So,
now, Kyle, how close do you like to get to a dock when you're shooting it? I like to be back a little bit further. Some guys like to be right up on it. What do you prefer?
That's a good question, dude. Listen, he's taking my job. That's a good question. Yes, Kyle.
I'm trying to
what
get some
do you
trade
prefer?
secrets.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like to get, probably anywhere. It depends on how deep, how the height between the water and the dock, right? So if it's pretty open, I like to get a little further back. So 5 foot, 6 foot. Sometimes even back as far as 10. Especially if you know how far the fish are from under the dock, right? Because I mean, sometimes they're all the way under it, so you're trying to shoot 40 foot. I mean, if you're 10 foot out in front of the dock, but you all need to make sure that you're out far enough where when you do shoot it, your rod tip doesn't hit the dock, because then you just need a new rod at that point.
But typically, when you're
that's a
shooting a
good point.
dock, you're trying to get it back 30 feet anyway.
Yeah, you're trying to get it back 30 foot. So
That's and see, that's the kicker. That's like what I
If not, you go around the dock and shoot it from the side.
okay,
or the back.
listen. So we got to start this. So look at Facebook user. I'm gonna read this. This is a lot. Sent my address, Danny. I think about $500 worth of stuff should cover the mistake of calling me a girl. Also, shout out to Captain Josh Thornton, as I had messaged him about a charter, but he is a very busy guy, obviously, because he is good. But he gave me some information so I could take my family out crappie fishing, and it was much appreciated. Awesome guy. Thanks again. And $500 worth of tackle. I'm gonna set you up, buddy. I do definitely apologize for and I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that, but hey, honest mistake. But listen, I appreciate you watching. And yes, that's a good thing, that even if you don't have time to take somebody out, help somebody, give them some tips. That's what this channel is about, trying to get good guys to just kind of help everybody out. We realize, hey, they're not going to give you their best kept hole or secret. We understand that. But if you can give somebody enough information where they can feel like they're successful just going out on their own or with their family, trying stuff like that, that's what it's all about. So again, I believe it says Facebook user now, but I believe it was Stacy. So Stacy, again, I apologize, buddy. I'm sorry, but I am going to send you some stuff like that. Now, but I was going to say about the key and what I was learning with skipping is, it's not that 1 or 2 skips just in the hole. It's getting that thing on out back in there, because that's where the fish are. They may be staged 12, 15 foot back, and
you want to pass them. So as it comes,
you're wanting to get it past them.
Yeah.
Where I think with bass fishing, I think a lot of the guys can get, if you just get it in the area, bass will turn and come. But crappie are a little bit different. But it is an art form to get. You're doing it right when you can send it back in there.
Yeah, we need our jig head to arc back through the fish or right over them.
Right. Okay.
That's what we're aiming for. We got to go behind them and then arc.
Okay, that makes sense. Again, it's whether you're shooting or skipping, it takes some practice. It's not something you're going to master. Don't get frustrated, and definitely don't do it first time out with a bait caster.
I don't recommend shooting docks with.
Were you here when I told the story?
I don't think I was.
Okay, I'm gonna tell the story. Just this is, sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself. All right, and so God, I'm gonna catch some slack with this right here. Of course, my buddy Farmer took me up to Notley, and he was teaching me how to skip, and I had a bait caster. And we pull up on this thing, and all of a sudden he's like, "Man, look at them fish back there in the back. You could see the bass." And there was a couple of very nice ones. They're back. The guy had a pontoon boat, and he backed it in. So the fish were at the back of the pond. I mean, listen, it's wide open. You guys could have done this in your sleep backwards, stand on your head. But Danny, with his bait caster, this was a challenge. And I had a wacky rig. And so I throw it. And he goes, and he gets back there. And hell, I'm impressed, but I got his backlash. And so I'm pulling this backlash out as fast as I can. And I get my line reeled up, and I feel it. And he's on there. And I set the hook, and I missed him. But I felt, I got it back there. So I'm like, hell, that's pretty good for Danny. I mean, it is a 4 foot by 4 foot area, but I did skip it back there. He goes, go again. So I chunk it back in there. Same damn thing happened. So I'm pulling this backlash out, and I'm working. And I'm trying to get it up there. And I finally get it all out, and I feel it. And I feel him again. I set the hook, and by missed it again. So Jonathan hands me his open face, and he goes, "Dude, I just grab it and I throw it back in there. It's the best. It's definitely easier with an open face. All right, but for you guys that reel with your left hand, all right, this sucked because I reel with my right hand. And so all of a sudden, I look at the thing, and I'm like, hell, I can't reel this
You reel
thing.
it backwards,
It's
upside down.
jacked up, and I'm like, okay, but I get the slack in there, and all of a sudden I feel it, and I set the hook, and I nail it on this one. But I can't reel backwards. I mean, it's just like goat yoga or something like that. It's terrible. So guys, this is embarrassing, but he said, flip it up. So I got the reel. The reel is on top and I'm reeling backwards. And I am fighting this fish backwards. Long story short, the fish got off, but my God, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But definitely, moral of the story is everybody reel with their right hand. And if you're handing somebody a rod, reel with your right hand. But it's easier to skip flip though with an open face and it is a bait caster and stuff like that. So but yes, guys, I am that fool who had it turned upside down. I couldn't do it. I'm not ambidextrous like that. So now let's get to you. Now that I've made a fool out of myself. It's okay. You gotta laugh at yourself every once in a while. But again, thank you, Jonathan Farmer, for teaching me how to make a fool out of myself and to skip docks. I'm gonna get good at it one of these days. So look, all right, let's talk about this rod. And let your setup and what we're going with.
Yeah. So it's this one. So the thing with crappie fishing, right, is there's several different ways to crappie fish, different types of fishing, different styles, rods for different occasions, for most other type of fishing.
And right? I'm glad you didn't get a picture of that. He's talking about he didn't get a picture of me real upside down.
Yeah. So this is the same size as Chris's. This is a 5.6. I'll hold it up.
Hold it. Yeah, yeah. Come on. The engineer would have held it up.
All right. So it's 5.6. I'm using again. So this is dock shooting setup, and we can talk about other types of fishing as well. But again, this is because linear mostly is dock shooting. So it's a 1/32 ounce jig head. This is
that's incredibly light though. 1/32. I mean, that's just minute small.
Having some issues there. There we go. So, and this is a 2-inch tap hole shape jig. So again, shooting docks, shooting under there. We've already talked about all that. But I'm actually using, and I use it on all my reels, except if I'm slip cork fishing, like Josh was saying, was the K9 crappie braid. It's 5-pound braid. It's extremely thin.
That's ultra thin for a braid.
It is high vis, but I've had this on my reel for a long time.
I
actually need to replace it. But It is supposed to be high vis yellow.
You had it a while.
It's time to. I'm probably going to replace it before I go fishing tournament this weekend.
There you go. All right.
But
you got your money's worth.
Yeah. So I love using braid on all my crappie reels on everything, unless I'm using a slip cork, and then because slip corks don't work on braid.
All right.
So the sensitivity of braid, there's no give, obviously, because it's braid,
right?
That kind of stuff, and you can boat flip bigger crappie with braid easy. So like a lot of the fish that he needs a net to flip his in to get his in, I just flip it with the braid.
Okay, because he's on fluoro,
right?
You're on braid. But now we're still the same action on the thing.
Yes.
You're still light action. So when it comes to boat flipping specs, it's about the line. If you got the braid, it's possible. If you got the fluoro, it's not.
And you can still do it.
It might be possible. We just would not risk it. Would not rather risk it.
Yeah, because you're in a tournament. No, I totally get it. Absolutely, yeah. So,
so why does your rod have so many eye loops, and what's this big funny thing for everybody?
I was looking at this too, because you got a small eye in the middle of a big eye, your first big eye.
Yeah, so this is
and you can see it from that angle, so that's good.
So they're called airwave guides.
Okay.
So I kind of like them because it doesn't, as you have the far open, you have the open in the bottom eye of the regular rods.
Yeah.
Well, this one's a little bit smaller, so it doesn't do a circle as much. It doesn't.
And does that help with how it comes back on the reel?
I think that a little bit, and it helps how it casts as well. It seems
okay.
It doesn't have the big bow in it, right? Because it's a little bit smaller that goes through.
Okay.
This is a custom rod from. So all my rods are.
So he's building it, and you got customs.
Yeah. So this is brush pile custom rods out of Alabama.
Okay.
All the rods that I use.
I actually like them. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Color, and you got on that. So the red and all that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's
so that's shooting docks. I also I will cast for these as well. Yeah, Piscifun, same reel that he's got, the Carbon X. That's fine. Yeah.
I'll get hooked over here in a second. I do notice this though. I noticed this about this guide is they're solid.
Yeah, it's just the type the airwave that comes with that whole guide setup.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they're a little bit solid.
Good
And
grief, my hands ain't working. All right, now you can reel. Is
no,
that I don't want listen. I don't want nobody getting hurt. Y'all sue me.
Yeah.
And all right. So but these okay. So both of these setups, again, the line doesn't flop a lot with those guides. That's good.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I was just reading some of the comments. But again, we're skipping docks. We're short.
Yeah.
Short
so
things.
because I mean I've shot with a little over 6 foot rod as well, or 6 foot. 6 foot's are good too. Some people like the longer rod shoot docks. I like a 5.6 or 6 shooting docks is what I like to use. I also, when I'm chasing open water fish, I'll use a smaller rod too. But I've also used an 8 and a 10 foot rod.
Yeah, I'm good.
well.
Yeah, and you have a couple of those.
Yeah, there's 8 foot over there. Yeah,
guys, we got a 7 foot basement and a 12 foot rod in here or something like that. But you're before I let him get talking these longer rods, what's the average length of the rods that your customers are using?
I like the 5 foot one from my
okay, so
shooting
you're
stick.
still short. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You're still in the short range. You're not pulling out long ones.
No, now I do have when we're pushing pushing minnows.
Uh-huh.
I do have the 12 foot and 16 foot poles off the front,
Okay, all right.
but I only do that this time of year. I don't do that year round.
Okay, all right. So let's talk some of these. Man, they look like fly rods that you got going. So behind him, and it's going to be very hard.
I don't know.
Now this one,
That's an 8 foot. Yeah,
this
that's
is an
8
8
footer.
foot.
Here, let me get this one.
And I am going to try because I know where all the wiring is in this place. So this one we've got a float. So I'm going to assume, but you still have, you're not.
So that's the braid, and that one's high vis.
High vis braid.
Newer, right?
Float up about, I would say 2 feet.
Yeah.
2 feet above. We still got a crappie jig, still 1/32 kind of thing. So with this setup, of course, you're on an 8 foot rod. You still got your Piscifun.
Yep.
God, I love that name. You still got that, and so what are we doing with a rod of this length? Are we just using like a cane pole, or are we casting?
So with that one, that setup like that is this time of year for the spawn, right? So because all the crappie on the banks, right? So you're fishing 2 foot. That's actually probably a little longer. You probably fish shallower than that.
Okay,
but you're casting it to the banks or standing structure, lay downs.
So we're casting this.
Yeah, you're casting that. So casting on the banks with the float because I love.
I'm old school. I do. Listen, I'm about to say, guys, listen. You got to, and I like pencil floats better though. I like.
Yeah, I have those
float.
too.
That's just being an old fart, people. That's just what happens when. But let me ask you this: so you cast it to the bank. Are we letting the water do the action of the jig, or are we working it?
So you can kind of do both. The water does a lot with it floating,
It's kind of like the float and fly kind of thing.
It doesn't need a lot of action either. I mean, especially on the bed like that, and the spawning. They're very
so we're targeting more bed fish because that's the only time of the year the crappie pretty much are shallow.
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah, for
5 foot or less of water.
Yeah, standard.
Okay.
So yeah, you can pop it a little bit like a popping cork if you're out, fishing reds or trout.
Kind of like trout.
That.
You do that. Okay. I got
you obviously don't need to do that much action.
Yeah, seriously.
So the way the water, or the reel, it's gonna move the jig a little bit.
Okay.
Because you don't, even when you're jigging, you don't need a lot of action.
Who's the jig man? And I know this is too small because again we're talking 1/32 or 1/16, so this is too small for me to actually hold up to the camera. But there's a lot of attention to detail. So
extremely. Yeah.
Who's the jig maker we got right here?
So that's Dan's Jigs out of Texas.
Yeah, okay. You told me about that. Okay, so this is one. I'm glad I got to see.
So those are custom handmade.
Yeah,
handmade jig heads.
Got the eye on it, even for something so small. Got an eye. Got a little glitter in the thing. What size hook are we talking about right there?
So that is probably a number 4, either number 4 or number 6.
Okay.
And those are sickle hooks.
Yeah, sickle hooks, number 4, number 6. Yeah.
When you say sickle hooks, what are we talking about?
It's not just a straight J hook. It's got a bend in it.
It does have a little bit of a turn.
It's got a crook in it. And I get people all the time that tell me your hook's bent out, but no, that's the way it's made.
That's the way it's made. Okay, so again, we're using an 8 foot rod to cast.
Yeah, so I cast with it. I vertical jig with it too, but you can cast with it. 8 foot rods cast, a long ways.
What pound braid are we using on this again?
5 pound.
5 pound
crappie braid. Yeah, it's almost so
K9 again. Yep. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, and now you've got a 10 footer or 12 footer behind you.
10 footer. Yeah,
10 footer.
10 foot.
Same thing, or are we doing something a little bit different with
the 10 footer? The 10 footer, if I'm open water suspended fishing, I will cast it to the open water fish.
Okay.
because I'll cast with a 5.6, with an 8-foot, with a 10-foot. 10-foot's about as far as I would use to cast, but it's only in open water because you don't have anything around.
Are we still using the float?
No.
Okay,
So we're using just the jig because most of the time the suspended fish, they're anywhere from 5 foot deep down to maybe 15 in 30, 40 foot of water because you're fishing river channel, creek channels, all that kind of stuff.
Any of y'all can answer this question. You get a 10-foot rod though, and we're talking about feeling a thump because you hear that in the bass, the crappie world all the time. It's thump therapy, the thump.
Yep.
I can imagine on these 5.6s, these short ones,
Mm-hmm.
you can feel that profoundly. On a 10-foot rod thrown in the open water, are you just more or less looking at the action of the rod to tell you that you got a bite, or do you still feel that thump?
Oh, you feel it just as much as you do.
Just as much as you would.
And the whole tip goes to the water usually.
So it's
when it does go, okay.
I mean, with braid, again, that's why I like using braids, so it's so sensitive. But you can feel the thump as well. When they're in there and you're casting to them and reeling it slow. Basically, what you're doing is you're casting to it. And again, obviously, it's a lot easier with live scope because you see where the fish are. So you're casting the jig to the fish.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I got that.
But so we're watching it, cast past it. We're watching it swim, come to them because we're slowly retrieving.
Uh-huh.
And either, right above them or right even with them. And it's just reeling towards it, slow reel. And I mean, you feel it as soon as they hit it.
Now you agree with them? It's okay to say
yeah.
no if you don't. No, it's okay. I know y'all got to get on a boat together.
These have some pretty stiff backbones and stuff, so you'll feel it just as much as the 5.6. It's
okay. So right now, I would say, and I think y'all would agree. And again, I do. I'm not a spec expert. I just like spec better crappie. I just cannot bring myself to say crappie more than 10 times. Are you okay with spec though?
No, it's crappy.
But you wouldn't just. I mean, if you had to like,
I don't want to agree with you tonight. It's crappy.
You're not going to agree with me.
No.
Okay. All right. Listen, I love you anyway.
But the biggest problem I have with these long poles, and I use them a lot,
Right.
is my boat 17 foot, and I got a 16-foot pole. I can't get the pole back far enough to get the fish off.
I don't use that long rod either. 10 foot. 10
foot's max.
I do have a 12.
Do y'all spider?
Y'all
Y'all do that spider
nope,
crap?
I don't.
So y'all don't do that as trolling. Is that legal in your tournaments?
I do.
Yeah,
it.
He does,
is.
but he
Just
It is.
bit.
Yeah, it's
so
all
it's
legal.
however you catch the thing in
Yeah.
the crappie tournament, ain't it? Pretty much. Other
Yeah,
than dynamite.
so-
I mean, if you
right.
catch them, you can use minnows too.
Yeah, you can use live bait. That's what I'm saying. There's so many different ways to catch crappie, right? You can spider rig, you can push, you can pull jigs, you can shoot docks, you can vertical jig brush piles, you can fish open water. I'm a one pole person. I don't spider rig, I don't pull jigs, I don't do any of that. I have one pole and I fish with it. And that's the only way.
And that's
fish.
probably the smarter thing to do when you're tournament fishing and all that, because you can kind of get.
Well, it depends.
That's just your comfort zone.
That's just my comfort zone, and that's
way?
what I like to use.
Yeah, if I troll, I like to striper or something like that.
Yeah.
So
the wintertime, when the fish are all suspended and scattered, that's why a lot of people troll with 6, 8, 10 jigs out in the water. Is they're trolling through, and all those fish that are spinning, swimming around, they hit the jigs. But I don't enjoy that type of fishing. I don't enjoy, trolling around, sitting in a boat, rod bend, reel it in. Everybody's like, wait till you get, four fish at one time on because you have all your rods out.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. And I'm gonna get back to you because you look at it from a different perspective as a guide. You're trying to put your, and let's go ahead and get you, and then I'll go to this question. You want to put your people on fish, so trolling as many rods when it's necessary. That's perfectly fine with you.
I like to put out a buffet for the fish down there. I want every opportunity to catch a fish.
Makes sense.
However, it does create a big problem on a windy day. We get lots of tangles. We get guys trying to pass rods over each other. They get tangled up. It gets hairy sometimes.
You ever just get pissed off? Like, dude, I mean, seriously.
No, I don't care. We're on the lake fishing.
Listen, that's
what
he's lying like a dog. I know he's lying like a dog.
No, it really don't bother me.
I didn't mean to jump in it because you were talking about getting multiple fish. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody in a comment way back, and I saw the question, and it just didn't dawn on me for a good time to ask. But they talked about, can you down here use on a single line multiple jigs?
Yeah, you can.
So that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's total in a tournament. So there's really not a lot of rules in a crappie tournament. Best 5 or 7?
7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 7. It's most places 7. Some people
I
do
get it, 'cause
5,
you
but
want-
most
you-
standard tournaments are 5. I mean 7.
7. Okay.
So I have a pole rigged up, and I have 3 jigs spaced out a foot apart. So when I drop my line in, I can see which level they're hitting at.
Okay.
If they hit the top one, the middle one.
So you're using so you're learning from your poles and how you got them set
When
up.
I
and all
drop
that.
it down, and then I can see all 3 of the jigs on my live scope screen also.
That's good. Yeah, that's smart. How good is night fishing with the light right now, and like maybe tied up under a bridge? Now listen, I love that comment because my experience of crappie fishing on Lake Lanier is about 7 or 8 of us getting on a pontoon.
Mm-hmm.
We pull up under a bridge. We tie down hair, and everybody's dropping crappie jigs over the side, and then we eat beanie weenies and stuff like that, and tell lies and stuff, and stuff like that till somebody's pole goes down. And that is, unfortunately, that is a lot of people's understanding of what crappie fishing is.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it's fun as hell when they're biting like that. I guess when the schools come through and they come back through and they move. So right now, given what you guys know, is it the time of year for that, or what is the best time of year? Because it seems to me like it was a little bit warmer, and I could be wrong. I haven't done it in a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do it. I do know it tends to be better in the fall. From what I've seen, from what I've seen and talked to people that do it, but I believe people do it throughout the year. I mean, summertime they do it, fall, spring. Just going by how I fish and what I think, I wouldn't think they would be that deeper water in the springtime.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
people do that currently, and I mean, I'm assuming they catch fish.
Listen, I just remember we did. It's been a long time ago, but we did it that way, and but it was fun. It was a good time, but you were not. It's almost more like a club, like a social. Everybody's on the boat, and if you're catching fish, you're good. But as long as you're there with the people talking, that's one thing. But
I'd say 8 out of the 10 times I go under Wahoo Bridge, somebody's tied up, or Clark's Bridge, either one.
Yeah.
And then you get them. If you do it on a Friday or Saturday night, you get them crazy SOBs that get drunk and jump off the bridges. And then all of a sudden, you're sitting there fishing, and all of a sudden you hear somebody screaming. They going off the they just jump in the water. You're like, there ain't no way in the world. So that's the one thing about that. But I do remember enjoying it. It was a good time. And that's another thing too about crappie fishing that I will say. And I do like crappie fish. Now you guys fish tournaments, so I do. I go over here to the reservoirs and stuff, and I'll throw jigs sometimes. I'll throw minnows. And I think it is really interesting when you get a trophy slab.
Mm-hmm.
One that lays across a plate, entire plate. I mean, that's a pretty fish, number one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people think they're a menace to a bass lake, and rightly so, because they're competing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pretty fish. But crappie fishing is also something that can be done as a social. I mean, I know you guys tournament fish, but you can do it like a social outing. You can get 5 or 6 guys in a boat and just go have a sud and drown a minnow and have a good time with it. And it's not so stressful as trying. I mean, you can do it with bass, of course, too. But I think crappie fishing just it's just a different level of ease into it. Just kind of, you find that to be true, or
especially
if laid back.
If you can find the brush pile to get over,
you
just anchor down and hope the fish are there. If you don't have electronics, if it's a social event,
crappie are food for bass, and they are,
especially today.
They are. They definitely are. They're food for me. So I mean, if you guys got a bunch of them, you can bring them up here, and I'll eat them. All right. So we've been going almost 2 hours. I'm getting ready. I can sit here and talk about crappie all night long, even though I don't know what in the hell we're talking about. You guys are giving some good stuff. Each one of you, I'm gonna give a chance. Give you like a last word here. If there's one guy on here that's watching, and again, you want to impart some wisdom or some advice. He wants to go chase crappie, whether it's on a reservoir or a big lake or a farm pond. For the next couple of weeks here in Georgia, we're right now, what is it, the 6th of April? 6th or 7th, right in there. So just had Easter, so we're early in April. For the next few weeks, and you're going to impart some advice. We'll start with you, and we'll just work our way around. What would you tell that guy?
So I would definitely be fishing shallow.
Okay.
Lay downs on the bank. Any kind of flat areas around the bank. If you want to fish docks, I would fish any dock, less than 10 foot.
Okay.
They'll kind of hold fish, and even after the spawn time, they'll hold fish for a while. The shallower docks before they move deeper. I for the past few weeks, I've actually had fish Lanier. Luckily, I haven't had as many tournaments going on, so I've fun fishing Lanier a few times. But majority of the time, I'm fishing up Chattahoochee, way up, around Don Carter State Park, all that area.
Okay.
I found fish. I went 1 week, and that was when the water temperature was still in the 40s, high 40s. I found them in, deeper river channel in 15 to 20 foot. They were sitting on structure. Come back the very next week, and I was catching them off the flat off a river channel in 5 foot of water. We went this past weekend and caught them again on the flat in 5 foot of water. Caught them under docks that's 8-ish foot of water, and had a few bites on laydowns. It's still earlier with that cold weather we had. The water temperatures had been in the mid 50s, even closer to 60s. But up there this past weekend with that cold water, when we started that morning, it was 49, 50.
Right. Okay.
So the temperature drops is moving so much with the different weather we're having. But I would definitely say laydowns, on the banks right now, laydowns, anything that you would think looks fishy. And a lot of people, they see fish. You're like, oh, that looks fishy, right? People know what you're talking about when you do that. So
right.
Check it there, fish along the banks, 5 foot, 3 foot, on laydowns, even some flats off from there, 5 to 10 foot, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Is definitely what I would do for the next, say, month or so.
And you're going to give me the same answer he just gave me. So I'm going to change your question a little bit, and I'm going to change yours a little bit for that. Because pretty much it is.
Yeah.
All right. For you, somebody, I got a question, and it's because of this question. You noticing any of the traction with the Crappie kayak tournaments? Are they going on? Because I haven't heard a lot about Crappie kayak tournaments. So, Chris, I honestly haven't heard anything like that. I don't know how fast they're growing. But for you getting into tournament, let's say there's a guy out there that wants to consider tournament crappie fishing. How about you explain what's the best way of going about getting in that?
We have the North Georgia Trail. That's easy to get into, and it's a good small northern. So if you're in the northern area,
right,
it's easy to get in, and all those guys are really good. All three of us are fishing it, and a couple others from what's it called, Ackworth and then Hartwell.
Right.
We have all of them kind of fish the same ones, and they're all real good guys. And so they're really easy to sign up, go to, and I mean, half the time I started fishing tournaments with Kyle this year, and you learn more about crappie and just the fishing and everything like that. Even you can not catch a single fish that day, just going out there and kind of focusing on, and you probably see it with the bass and everything like that. You focus on trying to catch these fish with everything changing. And then you get back and you hear how these guys caught it because this changed, or these guys caught it because the clouds, or these guys caught it because the rain, or, so everything kind of changes, and you learn a lot from, and that's one of the biggest things I think the tournaments has really pushed is the knowledge you get from all these guys that have been fishing it for so long. And then they can kind of on the fly swap to what they need to as they're kind of seeing things.
I got you. Okay.
But any of these trails, we have the Peach State, which is a little further south. So you fish the Conies, the Sinclairs, the West Points, but any of those, and they're all on the Facebook and just easy to
just jump in.
Jump in. They're all open. They're all clubs. So
okay.
you pay a small club fee and you're part of it. And like I said, they're all very accepting, and we're all there to fish. So they're all there to share knowledge. And once the tournament's over, they'll spill everything. And like I said, I've learned more not catching a single fish in a tournament than catching them all day,
I got you. Okay. So we got a fishing forecast. We got how to get in tournaments. Let's talk about the guiding real quick. So if somebody wants to go on a guide trip with you, or, what can they expect and how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can always find me on Crappie on Lanier on my Facebook page.
Okay.
We only do morning trips because I don't fish night. So I pick up at 7:30 to 7 in the morning. We go till 12:30, 1 o'clock, or till the fish quit biting. And we bounce around. We don't sit at one spot. If they're not there, or if they're not biting, just because we see them on the live scope, we're headed out.
Right. Okay.
So we'll run all over the lake. I typically stay on the north side of the lake, but it's been so muddy the last week. I've been going south.
Right.
And just to get away from the sticks and the mud floating in the water. But you were asking about what can people do to learn about crappie fishing. I put a post every week a report of what I'm doing. It might be not what Kyle's doing or what somebody else is doing, but I'm out there 3 to 4 days a week. I post what I'm doing, what I'm catching them on, the depths I'm catching them, and I usually put some pictures. So, like today, I put on there that I caught the fish on monkey milk this week. This has been one of my top jigs.
Right.
So I put that on there, and I put a picture of the live scope screenshot, the depths we called them at. And today, fish were all over. We caught fish on brush today. We caught them under docks today. We got them at 30 feet deep, and we caught them in 4 foot today. They're just randomly where they shouldn't be. Right now, they should be in the back of the creeks in 4 feet of water, but they're everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
so they can read your report.
Yeah, they can read my report, and like I said, it's what I'm doing. So I put the water temperatures and stuff like that, and the products I'm using. But that's Crappie on Lanier, and they could also call me directly and book a trip if they want to do that.
All right, and real quick, let's hit your company again.
Yeah, so it's ATX Lure Company. So we're on Facebook, Instagram. We also have the website atxlures.com. So we post on Facebook all the time. Pretty active on there. So yeah, we have multiple, probably six or seven different styles, different sizes as well. As soft plastics, tons of different colors. We make everything by hand, so we do custom colors and things like that as well. But the website's kind of a one-stop shop as well. I mean, we have jig heads on there now. We have soft plastics. We do reels. We do line. All that types of stuff. So I answer all the Facebook messages as well. So I have people messaging all the time on there, asking questions, doing that kind of stuff too. So feel free to message on there or anything if you have any questions, and I respond to those pretty quick.
All right, you got 30 seconds here. Really quick, did the cold snap mess up the Crappie location, like where they are and where they should be? You're going to say yes?
Yes.
Pushed them back a little bit.
So, yeah, that's another reason why I say that I don't like fishing this time of year, right?
Cold snaps come in, move back.
They move all the time. Even if not, they still move too, right?
Right.
But just like, they should have been closer on the banks, you would think by now too. But, the water temperature, everybody says it's always by water temperature. That's not true. I mean, it's a big part of it, but there's also a lot of other things as well. There's a bunch of different opinions on all of that as well. But, the prime time water temperature, everybody likes to say is 60 degrees. But yeah, so if you get a warm spell in a few days, several days, they'll be up shallower. Yeah. If it gets cold, they'll kind of move out a little deeper.
Exactly. And listen, it's still coming up as Facebook user. He says, I'm a bass fisherman just learning the Crappie. Sorry for all the questions. Listen, that's what we're doing. Listen, I'm trying to learn, even though we like to have fun and cut up. I pay attention to what these guys say, as with all our guests. You can always take a little bit of knowledge, guys that are willing to give you a tip here, a tip there, a bite here, a bite there, and just put it to use. And the best thing is to go out and try it. Okay, you go to ATX Lure, look at some of the stuff. They told you a little bit about shooting docks. They talked about how you could practice with a 5-gallon bucket and then a solo cup and then a moving solo cup and stuff like that. So take what these guys and all our guests can give you, and some of our comment guys are really, really smart, and just put it to use. There's, don't worry about asking all the questions. That's what we're here for, and that's why we bring these guys on the show. We like to have fun and all that, but at the end of the day, it's about learning. So, guys, again, they are a great bunch of guys. Oh, so that's a Stacy, and again, Stacy, didn't mean to call you a girl. I don't know why it changed all of a sudden, but yeah, so my bad on that. Again, let's go ahead. Again, guys, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate that. And again, we will continue having these guys on and updating you on the Crappie every so often. I probably don't do it enough, I know, from what I hear. So we'll do that. But give them all a follow on Facebook. And you got Facebook too? You on that? So what is it? Kurt, just your name?
My name, yeah, Chris Corrales.
Chris Corrales. Give him a follow. And again, guys, just kind of stay. They always post on the Fish North Georgia group page as well. So if you're on that, you can see these guys. You can keep up with them there as well. So, again, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Again, I hated that we missed last Thursday, but it was good to come back. A good episode, a lot of information. And really, guys, we probably, if it wasn't so late, we probably could talk another 2 or 3 hours. There's so much stuff to cover that, but we'll take this bite here and we'll work and go to the next episode when these guys come back. Now, Thursday night, again, tell everybody we're going to go back to bass angling, of course, but we're going to talk topwater. All right. And Ryan Sheffield is going to be our main guest. We got a couple other guys, and he's really good on lanier with topwater. There's a couple of things that he does that's a little bit different than a lot of guys normally do. So he wanted to come talk it. Lot of horny toad kind of stuff we're going to talk about. A little different baits. You know, everybody's real big on the buzz baits and the whopper ploppers, but we're going to talk a little bit different. So you guys join us Thursday night at 8:00. Again, look up on Facebook for the it's what did you fishing with the Wounded Warriors?
It's Fishing with Military Heroes. That tournament is full.
Okay.
But we have events coming up all the time.
Right. So they can keep up with it on that.
You can get in touch with me, and we got some other big things coming down the pipeline as early as July.
Okay.
That's going to be another real big game changer for the veterans and the first responders.
All right. That's awesome. Guys, so listen, get involved with that. Take a kid fishing. If you come up to the store anytime over the next few weeks, bring some I'm whistling now. It's been a late night. I can hear myself. I'm trying not to, people. I'm tired. So listen, if you're coming up to the store anytime over the next couple of weeks, or actually for the foreseeable future, if you don't mind, hey, grab a couple canned goods. We're going to get that Georgia Mountain Food Bank started back up. You guys did awesome the first few weeks, and we kind of, like I said, during the holidays, I kind of quit pushing it. Bring some canned goods and help people that are less fortunate than you. So make the world a little bit better place, and we will see you Thursday night. So good night.